That's a good question.
How you doing, Mike?
How are you? Well, no, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah. Our future.
No.
Might be our future. Now. Hey, Mayor. Good evening.
We start.
About a minute and a half. I just very much
Hey, Dean, can you jump up, push the button for me?
I've been that high before, but I've seen that.
I may have to run down here. Let me get.
What'd you do with your man? Wants to pick you up.
Yeah, I'm good driving.
Let's see. I may not.
Is this going to be online? Yes. Good, because my thing is not working.
Teamwork, baby.
Done, you got it.
I've been to Jose.
Let's see if we don't want to do Ready? Think so.
I call to order the meeting of the July meeting, July 29th, 2024, of the Mayor and Alderman meeting, Town of Monteagle, Tennessee. If you would, let's rise for the prayer by our chaplain. You would pray with me. Almighty God, we give you thanks and praise for all your mighty works. You are loving and good and gracious. Thank you for creating us and sustaining us day by day. Thank you that you made us in your image to exist in community with other people. We thank you for this town. Thank you for our elected officials, the businesses, the churches, the families, and the individuals that make our town the great place that it is. But Lord, we acknowledge that we do not deserve these good gifts. We are not worthy of your favor, for we have sinned against you in thought, word, and deed. We do things that we should not do, and we don't do the things that we should do. We have not loved you with our whole heart, and we have not loved our neighbors as ourselves. Forgive us and give us hearts of obedience. Grant that our town will be known as a righteous town, a town of peace and hope, a town with happy homes, a town that welcomes a stranger, a town that cares for the needy, a town that defends the innocent from evildoers. Lord, thank you for civil government. Those who bear the sword do so as your ministers to be a terror to crime. We pray that our civil servants would acknowledge this calling and perform it faithfully. Be with our judges, attorneys, law enforcement, as well as firefighters, EMTs, and other first responders. Grant that they would never neglect or abuse their authority, but they would stand firm for truth and justice. Keep them safe from harm as they serve and protect us. We pray for this council meeting tonight. Give the council members wisdom and guidance as they deliberate on the items before them. May every decision be righteous in your sight for our benefit and for your glory. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge to our nation's flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
IT technician, have we resolved these?
I just gotta find stuff now.
Okay, is the audio kind of okay?
I think so. Can everybody hear?
Well,
I
I'm
think we.
concerned about the background noise.
I think that was down there.
Oh. Well, I have turned off my phones. I ask you to do the same or whatever's appropriate, just so we don't interfere with broadcast. Okay, roll call, please.
Lorraine? Here. Jessica? Here. Dan?
Here.
Nate?
Here.
Nate?
Here. Alderman, you've received the two sets of minutes, one for a special call meeting, one for our regular meeting. I'll accept the motion to accept them.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes from the June 24 meeting and the July 17 meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll say.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of either meeting as submitted?
I don't know that it was necessary to call Dan out as being late on the special call meeting.
Well, it's because he
You all right?
Oh, okay. All right. So we have to. Felt like it was picking on him.
Accuracy.
Okay. All right.
Okay, any other discussion or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved as submitted. Citizens' comments. That's next on the agenda. Is there any citizen that wishes to be heard at this time? Mr. Lay.
Yes, sir. When the council meets in closed session for legal and stuff, will there be an acknowledgement of that, like in next month's minutes for tonight, or is there never any mention of that, or how does that work?
There can be a mention, as I understand it, with a broad overview. If it's litigation and, as the attorney told me earlier today, attorney-client privilege, that's a closed
Right,
meeting.
but
But there were
otherwise,
no minutes or real,
right, but just be a record that y'all met in session.
yes. And
For,
so let the minutes reflect that, please.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments at this time? Okay, a rule for citizens' comments. I see that everyone came to see me tonight. Let's limit the comments to 3 minutes. Everyone should speak first, but one at a time, and then when everyone's had their chance, we can do a second round if appropriate. So we'll proceed that way. Mayor's communications, couple of things. The next regularly scheduled mayor and alderman meeting will be August 26th. A note on recycling, I've had phone call after phone call that sometimes the bins are too full, especially plastic. 2 requests from those that empty those bins. Please, for plastic, please pitch them towards the back of the container. There's a lot of room back there and it looks very crowded up front, so that might buy us a day or two till they get here. The other thing is, please break down your cardboard boxes. You say, well, why? Well, we send a machine out there to push the cardboard down to make more room. If everyone breaks down their boxes, we won't have to do that. So please break down the boxes if you're going to use the recycle center in Monteagle. And I think Swanee has the same requirement, so that was that coming. Just so you know, August 5th, on or about 7, 8 o'clock, depending on mobilization, we're going to start construction with the I&I project, the inflow and infiltration remedy phase 1. So that's August 5th, someplace around 7 o'clock. They do their mobilization, which means they bring all their equipment up and they set up and they get to work. There will be single lane traffic, depending on what road. There'll be machinery, obviously everywhere. There'll be road closures, and sometimes one lane with flaggers to get through a construction site. I would suggest you leave a little early. There will be disruptions. I've worked with the fire department and the police department for alternate routes if a road is closed. So it's important that we try to minimize any inconvenience or delay as we do this project. I believe the contract called for something like 7 or 8 months. As a contract term, obviously they'll get done as quick as they can. We're going to break up the roads, we're going to look at manholes, we're going to fix pipes, so it'll be an ongoing I&I or inflow and infiltration project. And please, for communication, we're trying everything we can do. Check the website, or check Facebook, or check the master blast that we're setting up with Ivor Michelle and Martha Ann Pilcher, the community bulletin board. There are only so many ways we can reach you, so tell your neighbor if they don't have any of those media available to them. And that's it for now for me, so let's go on with calendar events. Well, I basically covered the July 4th parade seemed to go off well, and those July 4th festivities. Thank you again to Doreen and her crew for the decorations of July 4th and decorating the town as we do, and to our own utility department road crew that sets out the American flags and helps in whatever way they can. We are going to have a September 11th observance, and we'll do that at 9/11 on the day. And information will come out as that becomes available. And I believe that is it for August. That should do it. Okay, if there's anything, we'll put it out via media. Now for the reports of the committees and members, the police department is first.
Good afternoon, members of council, citizens of Monteagle. You guys are probably wondering why the police department's here. Well, the reason being is you guys can come on up. Is because I've been asked on multiple occasions, let's bring the department up so we can meet them, okay? We've had some changes at the department. You guys can stand up there. Some changes at the department, and we now currently, yes, everyone. So currently, we've got 8 patrolmen, one of which is on deployment right now. He's been on deployment for almost a year now, Donnie Burnett. And then, of course, we've got Chad Locke, who's not here, who's on duty right now, so he's on a call. But I just wanted to bring them up, introduce them real quick, show you guys that we did make a modification on our uniform where we went with gray pants instead of the tan, just to separate us a little bit from some other entities, because just about every entity up here on the mountain is black and tan. So how do you distinguish who's whom, right? Because it says police department and it says Monteagle, but you got to get real close to see the tag. So that's just one of the the small changes we did for us to kind of separate us a little bit, okay? But starting here, I got Canine Boss, Officer Boss. He's been with us for, what, 2 years now? Former military, actually 22 years, correct? 20 years as First Sergeant. So implementing the K-9 unit has definitely impacted the city in a great way. Not only does everyone love Milo, who's not in here right now, but as far as narcotics, our narcotics have went down, so that's what we want. Beside him, we've got Cody Smart, who's working on his 3rd year with us. Beside him, we've got Carter On, who's been in law enforcement for several years. I actually stole him from a different administration. Beside him, we've got Officer Cross, who is a cadet with us right now. He will be going to the academy in October. Beside him, we've got Officer Wallace. He's a cadet as well. He will be going to the academy in October as well. And then on the very end, last but not least, we've got Miss Shirley, and she's been with us now for several months, and I was able to take her from another department. So we're very fortunate to have these men and young lady with the department, and you know, they bring a lot to the table. So I just wanted to introduce them, okay?
Thanks, Rob.
So everybody was sweating for no reason. All right, so we're going to go over the numbers here real quick. They should be behind me, yes. As I've always said, numbers going down is what we want to see, correct? So if you go through there's a whole bunch of zeros is what we want to see. We had driving on revoke, suspended 2. We had 2 DUIs. Going down, we've only had 2 drug-related cases, which I don't know if you guys remember, 6 or 7 months ago, that would have been 17, 18, even 20. One driver without a license, that unfortunately that was an undocumented individual, so had to take him into custody. Thefts have went down tremendously in Monteagle, which that's what we've been wanting to happen. Citations, we only had 66 citations. That was either a warning or an actual ticket. So actually the majority of those were warnings, slow down. You can see from last month we were at 124. So last month we pulled over 124 vehicles. This month we only pulled over 66 in a 30-day period. Something's working, right? People are slowing down. And when you slow down, you save lives, and that's what we're all about. You can see that we had 1 order violation of order protection. The 911 center calls did go up, and that's okay, because that means the citizens of Monteagle were reporting things that they weren't reporting before, like suspicious subjects or reckless driving, which allowed us to respond a little bit quicker. So I'm okay with that number going up if all the other numbers come down. And then of course, the one that I'm really happy about is the vehicle crashes. They went down from 17 to 11. About a year and a half ago, that was an average of 24 a month. So we've brought that down. So all in all, it's actually working. You know, we did what we said we were going to do when we took over. It was a little shock for some people. Some people are like, oh my God, this is a speed trap, or this is this. But the idea was to slow people down, to get people used to driving. And obviously, if you look at the Mountain Goat, we're not having too many people not come to Monteagle because it stays full. So that's what we got there as far as the monthly numbers. Now, do you want to segue into?
Sure.
Okay, so we have another project, Mr. Moore. So we have another project that we suggested, that we brought up. Okay, and this is it's speed enforcement stationary video camera. Okay, that's going to be put in the school zone area. And the reason I say school zone area is because Monteagle, Saturday I was running radar, handheld radar. I only pulled 1 person over, okay, if they were speeding excessively. But I wanted to get a sense of how many people were speeding on Saturday, right? Because we were all at the event, which was great, by the way. The average speed was 47 miles an hour in a 35-mile zone. The guy that I pulled over was doing 57 miles an hour, and I said, he lives here? And I said, why are you speeding? His exact words to me were, because there's only 1 officer in Monteagle on Saturdays. That was the exact comment this gentleman made. Not gonna, great guy, he was honest. I shook his hand. He got a ticket, but I shook his hand and said thank you. But so that's the whole thing for this. So the speed enforcement is when people, whether they're visitors or they're citizens, when they know that this is here, right, they're going to slow down from the strip. Coming from McDonald's, I call it the Mario curve, right there where Papa Ron's, people speed up, and that's where he was coming out of, speed up, and from there to City Hall. It's like a raceway. You know, it's not terribly too bad in the morning times. We actually have school zone because people actually pay attention. But it's when there's not an officer there that people are speeding, right? And the whole idea is we have the majority of our citizens walk during the day, during the morning, in the afternoons, right? There's people pushing, men and women, pushing their children in, you know, buggies. There's walking dogs. So the idea is to slow traffic down, right? So if you get a ticket in the school zone area, it's going to be a $50 citation, okay? Doesn't go on your driving history, doesn't go on your insurance. It's a civil thing, okay? If you don't pay it, it goes on your insurance. I mean, it goes on your credit report. But basically, you don't have to go to court, but if you want to go to court, you can go to court to fight it. But hopefully the idea is to, people will know, slow down. And you're going to know, it's going to tell you, you know, before the system, and I've got Mr. Moore here who's going to explain a little bit more. He's actually the representative of it. But every place that this system has been implemented, on an average, if I'm not mistaken, it's their speeding has went down 80%, given.
Most of them like 90%.
So if we can slow people down, that's the whole idea behind it. But I'm gonna actually have Mr. Moore speak a little bit more of it because he is the professional when it comes to the blue line speed zone.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor, Council, thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Ryan Moore. I'm with Blue Line Solutions in Chattanooga. I've been with the company for 4 years. My former life was a accident reconstructionist and motor officer. Did that for 20 years as a police officer. So what we do with this, we conducted a speed study. We had over 1,500 cars.
So in a 5-day period, and it was only during school zone. So we ran it from 7:30 to 3 p.m. In 5 days, we had 22,000 vehicles come through there.
Wow.
And 22,000 vehicles, it recorded, the average speed was, what, 48 miles an hour?
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
And out of that, we had 12,000 speeders, that come through there. 12,000. And that's just in the school zone time. So that's a lot.
So what we do is we take a subjective approach to this. The owner of our company and the founder of our company was the first Tennessee Highway Safety Office law enforcement liaison. So in 1999, he rolled out click and ticket or booze or lose it. So we follow the mark by that. So we've run the speed study, we have a baseline to go by. So if you decide to go forward with the program, what we do is 4 to 6 weeks before the program, we put it in the social media. We have our own in-house marketing. It would go out to the community and your water bill, electric bill, the school, however they see fit, the bus drivers. We want everybody to know it's coming, right? So when the system goes up, there'll be, I got a guy confused the other day. So there's 3 different signs before you go in. You're gonna have your flashing lights that tells you your speed. You're gonna have a photo enforced. They will be on side streets also. But the most important thing, you're gonna have a radar feedback sign on each end of this school zone. So there's 3 different signs, and the last one will tell you your speed before you drive in the school zone. We use single beam LiDAR, so it's pointed 85 feet in the road. So after that last sign that tells you your speed, you still have between 300 and 600 feet to slow down. Speeding would be 11 miles an hour, so it would be at 11 over before it would take a picture of your license plate. So that's how the system works. But after all the initial public information, education to the public, then there is a 30-day warning period. So every car that comes through there in 30 days, it's going 11 over, will get a warning citation in the mail. So Saudi Daisy is the latest one that we've got up. I was just in Asheville Springs today. We've got their hardware and infrastructure up right now. We're just waiting on electrical inspection. But Saudi Daisy's, I cover Tennessee and Georgia, so I want to stay in Tennessee here. Saudi Daisy's the last one that we got up and running. The permitting process takes a long time. Another thing, it doesn't cost the city anything. You'll never get a bill from Blue Line. So Saudi Daisy, we've got 6 school zones there. I went back and put an armadillo, what we did a speed study with Chief here. Nobody knows what it is, a little box. So before we even turned on anything, we've cut their speed down 86.7% by just putting the stuff in. That's a successful program. We want to see numbers like that going backwards. We have 2 school zones in Shreveport, Louisiana that are 100% compliant right now, which is amazing. Last year in Georgia, the 22-23 school year, one of our biggest clients is Savannah, Georgia, all the way up to Trenton and Ringgold with just 1 school. We got Bainbridge, I mean, it's like 52 accounts down there. But we got their speeding down as a state 94.9%. So that's the successful program. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, one of the concerns that came up in the council meeting last time was that I think everybody is in agreement that we want to get traffic under control in the school zone. But the contract we got said that it could go in the school zone, in construction zones, and anywhere else that was deemed appropriate.
And that was wrong.
Which kind of made it seem a little broad.
Right.
So do we have the opportunity, I hope we have the opportunity, you're going to tell me we have the opportunity to tweak the contract to make sure that it is limited to what we want it to be. Well, and we've got some construction coming up, and so it may be appropriate, I guess, in a construction zone, but I have concerns about it getting and just being deployed everywhere throughout town, and I think a lot of people have those concerns.
It is a fixed unit in Tennessee law, specifically says in TCA code 558198, only in school zone, and it's going to be fixed. So it's going to have electric meters. It's not going to be in a construction zone or anywhere. It's going to be fixed in a school zone.
But now you're also giving us handheld units. So how would it work if we were to do an ordinance with you that allowed use within the school zone? How would those handhelds work?
The handheld has to be officer verified, officer witnessed. It can be used anywhere that they're having problems with, that they're having a hard time getting the car in there, turn it around, just.
One of which is one of my favorite roads to actually go, one of my favorite roads to be on is Laurel Lake. I love going to Laurel Lake. However, trying to pull a vehicle over on Laurel Lake is almost impossible and it's unsafe. So that's where you would use the LiDAR handheld to be able to do that. Boom, boom, you're able to, let's say I lock them down and I catch them at the end of, let's say, Mountain Goat. You know, I get down into the restaurant. I can get out and say, hey, clocked you in, this is you were speeding in, you're going to receive a citation in the mail. Have a great day. So that's where those would benefit us, where we can't safely for the driver of the vehicle or the officer actually conduct an actual traffic stop because it's just not safe. School zone, well, not school zone, but construction zone, right? When we know when this actually takes off, it's going to be almost it's not going to be advantageous for us to spend 15 minutes or however long it takes to write a citation with the individual on the side of the road, because that road's going to be narrow. So that's where your handheld would come in. Hey, I clocked you here, this is you, this is the coordinates, you're going to receive this in 30 days.
So you're still pulling people over?
Yeah, you're still going to pull them
that.
over, it's just you won't be able to pull them over at that particular spot because it's just not safe. For me to run a handheld, for me to run a radar in the car, you know, and then try to chase you down and say, hey, I pulled you, you should have pulled over back here, you know, especially if you have a new officer that says, oh my God, I think they're running on it, or whatever the case may be. So it limits a lot of things there. So that's why we would have the handheld, okay?
But I do want to say that when we brought this up last month, it was my impression that it was only going to be in the school zone, and like Nate said, the ordinance said at the police department discretion as to where these were going to be set.
Yeah.
I think that was the problem.
The fixed one is,
Yeah.
The one that takes the picture, of that it's gonna be in the school zone.
So, do you run radar now?
We have a handheld radar and we have I don't run the handheld radar, just because it won't actually give me the coordinates.
So, we've got faulty equipment again in radar, right?
Well, it's not faulty equipment, it just doesn't work the way we need it to work as far as the handheld goes.
So there's a difference.
There's a difference.
So you're gonna be getting brand new radar.
One, yes, it's one. So we're still gonna be able to run our conventional car radars that we pull people over, in a car, but we're gonna have that handheld. So the current handheld I have now is an actual radar, it's not a LiDAR. And just the difference is
Well, my thing,
There's a big difference in radar and LiDAR.
well,
Right.
my thing is we're getting an upgrade on radar and it's not costing us anything.
correct. And this one actually will, if someone, let's say you said you want to go to court, and we say, let's go to court, whatever, it's gonna have the coordinates on it, it's gonna have the GPS, it's gonna have it all in there, on something that's given to us for free.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. Also, we had, a couple of comments last month about it being a speed trap.
So, correct, the thing about a speed trap is not knowing.
Yeah.
If you know that it's there, how's a speed trap?
Well, I have since asked multiple citizens that's come into the store how they would feel about the cameras, and a lot of them were for it.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I spent about 5.5 hours at the thing we had this weekend, which was great here. I had multiple citizens come to me and say they want it. And I said, well, that's great. I said, however, it's got to be a unanimous thing, so.
Everybody I talk to is highly in favor of it.
We have to educate everybody. That's what we want to do is an education and slow it down. And what it'll do is change the driver's behavior when they see their speed and then they know that this LiDAR is here, they're going to slow down.
Listen, I'll be the first one to get a ticket.
Well, at the end of the day, it's we want to make sure, we're never going to be perfect. It's not a perfect world, and we're never going to have zeros all the way down. But if we can get them as low as possible, and obviously we're having more and more visitors. I don't know if you guys realize, our visitors are coming to Monteagle. They're coming here for a reason. Whether it be, the things that Monteagle has to offer, people feel safe, or, you've got individuals trying to bring more business here. There's reasons people are coming here, so let's keep them safe.
Well, just as a quick side, Mountain Market this past weekend that the Chamber of Commerce put on board in a lot of vehicles.
It did.
So they had a good crowd for the range game. Doreen, Jessica or Dan, any other questions?
I have a question. Your cameras, will they identify cars that are wanted or?
So this is I'm glad you brought that up. So there is you want to tell them about the license plate readers?
There will be one of our products here is we will put a license plate reader in the school zone for free of charge for you guys.
So
And it
basically,
will get the notifications. If you got somebody coming from, it seems like Monteagle, when I moved to Chattanooga, Cookville, it seems like Monteagle's right in the middle of Nashville and everything that all the stuff happens. Yes, it will. If somebody robbed a liquor store in Chattanooga and they came through Monteagle, it would notify the police department. If that tag number was in the system.
right. And so one of the benefits for this, obviously, there is a little bit of revenue that is going to be created off this, right? So hopefully down the road in a few years from now, I'm hoping sooner than later, we're going to be able to put one of these radar systems or LiDAR detection systems at each end of town, okay? That's not the ticketing system. That's the one that will just look at tags, right? And you're asking why would that be beneficial? Well, obviously we know we had a young lady that her life was taken several months ago at a restaurant, right? Had we had one of those systems up, the likelihood of that vehicle passing it and us being able to find it would have been even greater than what. So, and when we have silver alerts, I don't know if many of you guys know what a silver alert is, but it's when you have an elder that's missing. They go into MCIC, they put it in there, the plates. Well, we have thousands of vehicles that come to Monteagle. Monteagle alone, our department, in a year, I think we've found 6 or more Silver Alert hit people that just got lost here in Monteagle. You know, so it's very beneficial, so.
One thing I might add, a few weeks ago, Saudi Daisy actually found a car that was a murder suspect. It went from Saudi Daisy that went through their school zones. And the license plate reader was able to identify that car and find it. One of the sergeants, I spoke to him, he was telling me about that.
Any other questions from the alderman?
So we can alter that contract and look at it again?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
that sounds good.
Okay, is there anything else for the police report?
No, I'm done.
There's a citizen.
I think we have a question.
Oh, question.
With these cameras at the school zone, will they also be a patrol car there working the school zone?
I'm glad you brought that up too. Yes. The only time that we will never have a patrol car there is if that officer gets on a 911 call. But yes, there are always going to be an officer there. We're always going to be out directing traffic. There's always going to be blue lights there. So I know that was a concern as well. And actually I was going to address that, but I kind of forgot, to be honest with you. But there's always going to be an officer there, yes.
Okay, and I'm sure this thing's be set up on like a land game, and then who's going to be there to, like, say for instance, if school's out today, school gets called off half a day, who's going to be there putting the schedule in?
Great question, great question. We keep up with the school systems and put that in there to program the cameras. But if something happens, you guys have a snow day or water main busted or something.
I make a phone call.
Makes a phone call, and if the tickets come in, there'll only be, it's only at that point where the picture is taken, right? So we can spoil all those. So if they come in, if Chief calls and said, hey, we let school out at 8:30 this morning, we're gonna spoil all those citations.
Pull out the camera at that time, traffic closed at 35.
Correct.
Okay, and this would all be set up on DDC patrol, but you're saying that the town of Monteagle don't have to pay anything, but what would be the percentage you pay back to the town of Monteagle for your camera?
50%.
50%?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the citation's $50. They get $25 of the citation.
Okay, and I know you said you were from Chattanooga, what is this doing to Red Bank?
Red Bank?
Yep.
We're in,
Do you have their cameras?
Red Bank don't have any cameras.
But they put them out of business, is that correct?
No, sir, they have red light cameras, nothing to do with us. We are currently in
Different
talks.
system, but they've got the cameras, and that's what you put Red Bank to a ghost town, is that correct? All the
I
red
can't
light
speak
cameras.
for that. We are in talks with Red Bank right now. I met with the chief last week. I can't speak to the red light cameras. I have no cause of that. It's not me.
So, you know, the red light cameras are different.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the red light cameras either. I would never suggest those be put here. So this is totally different than the red light camera, yes.
Can you estimate what your revenue would be from these?
Oh, well, you
We
can't do
can.
that.
So realistically, we're hoping that if we get revenue, that's great, okay? That's more money that we don't have to ask from the citizens of Monteagle, right? To help the police department buy patrol cars or whatever the case may be. But ideally, we're hoping that traffic slows down, that it's, you know, anything that we get from it, it's just less that we've got to ask from the citizens and the council for, you know, to buy things. But, you know, I'm hoping that, I mean, you don't make it, if you make $1 million, you know what that means? You got a lot of speeders, right? So the idea is to slow people down.
Any other questions?
We do right here.
Oh, yeah.
In the contract, is it, can the city cancel it if it doesn't work out and the citizens rebel and they accuse the police department of abusing it or for whatever reason?
Correct. It's a 2-year contract, so after 2 years,
So we're locked in for 2 years.
It's locked in for 2 years. You can renew it or not renew it, yes.
Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me, when you say the school zone, are you talking about Main Street? Is it going to capture the sideway, the side road?
No.
No, just the,
the
on
Main
41 out
Street?
here.
Because there's a
In
road
the
that
school
runs
zone.
parallel
Right.
with that.
It will just be in the school zone.
No, but I promise you there will be an officer over there run radar, because people will speed through that road all the time.
We got a question in the back.
Go ahead, Travis.
I think from a public safety aspect, I mean, this is just holding folks accountability in a school zone for our youth. I mean, I really think it's a I know it's modern day technology, but it's holding us, it's the locals as well as our tourists that's coming through accountable for our schools. I mean, I just feel like it's a pretty mixed system, I think, from what I've heard.
And to piggyback on Mr. Lay's comment about abuse of police, if that ever happens, you get rid of your whole police department, because you don't need them.
I agree.
Yeah.
What's the price of a child's life? I think that's
exactly right.
How many children have been killed in the school zone in Monteagle?
I hope none. We have 0, but I hope none. That's what we're trying to do. Not since I've been here, no. But you've been here longer than me, you could answer that. Okay.
Which is a good point to bring that up. While you're up here, we have under new business the purchase of a police car. It's in the budget, all of that. You will accept the motion to accept the purchase of the police car outlined in the budget.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on that motion?
I would have liked to sing two, but we'll go with one.
I'm sorry?
I would have liked to sing 2 cars, but we'll go with one.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Yeah, I was just going to put it up.
For the amount after all the discounts is $55,101.
Yeah. That's the contract right there, isn't it? So say
And that's,
55.
It is, yes, sir.
Yeah.
No bid government contract deal.
So what we're trying to do is get into a rhythm of buying a new car every year, which would give us a 9-year replacement schedule on our cars. And so we think that's in the best interest of the long-term interest of the police department. To Doreen's point, we did put enough money in the capital reserve program to purchase 2, but the reality of the situation in Monteagle is our capital reserve program is at least $750,000 short of where it needs to be. And so if we can make a habit of putting more in every year than we take out, it's not going to take us too long to get where we need to be. So this was an idea of trying to create some regularity to it. So next year, if we can get on this program, we can start ordering the next car much earlier in the year to allow us to get in when the model years come out. Right now, we're kind of behind. We're behind the curve because everybody else has already ordered their cars. So part of this is about creating some regularity. So come March of next year, expect to see us talking about buying another new car. Now that new car price won't hit till the next budget year, but by starting it earlier, we can get them some better access to some cars and also hopefully get us.
It's a program that we wanted so we wouldn't have to buy 3 cars in 1 year because everything went bad. With an ongoing inventory, so to speak, we thought this would be better. As far as where our capital account is and all that, I'll be scheduling a workshop with the aldermen as well. I don't know when, but I'll put it out when the time comes with our accountant to discuss some of these larger accounts that we need to watch. So that's the concept of all of this. This is 1 car, although 2 are budgeted. So is it a roll call vote? Roll call vote, please, on purchasing a new police car.
Lori?
Yes.
Jessica? Yes. Dan?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Chief, that's prepared to move.
That was a pleasure, thank you.
Chief, I wanted to
Yes.
ask you too, did you get any new tasers or cameras or anything?
We did get 5 new Motorola cameras.
Okay.
We were purchased. So we are currently working on trying to get a grant for the tasers. So we're going to see where that goes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys.
Fire department, please.
Good evening.
First line on the fire department, I've got permission to donate the old Cascade system to Tracy City VFD. The system has an estimated cost of $0 to $3,000. So that's a wide open spectrum because if this unit at 26 years old was to be placed on surplus on gov deals, it's a gamble. It may be $0, it may be $3,000. It's a gamble. I'm making a suggestion for you guys that if you would like to donate it to a partner department that we work with, I think with it, they would get more benefit out of it locally, and we could still have the opportunity to use it if we're in an emergency setting in that community. I'd like to make the recommendation to donate it.
All right, and this is a recommendation because of mutual aid and that we
Yes,
help Tracy and Tracy helps us.
that's correct, yes.
And it would allow us to fill our bottles
Yes.
up there?
Yep, it's our old system where we've gotten the grant to
So we can do
replace.
something.
Yes.
Okay.
And I just honestly need it out of the bay because if you look down on the bottom, the ladder truck status, we've got 1 to 2 weeks and it's sitting in the bay where the ladder truck goes, so I need to do something with it.
And they don't have any cascade system
No,
at all
sir,
right now?
they do not. I spoke to their mayor and she was very interested in it at the end of last week, so.
I'm fine.
Is there a motion, just so we get it official, is there a motion to donate the old Cascade system to the town of Tracy City?
So moved.
Who make the motion to donate the old Cascade system to the town of Tracy City?
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion?
No.
Roll call, everyone. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you all. We've also been working with SETD to spec out our equipment that we had won on the CBDG grant. So that stuff's going on. We've got a distributor coming tomorrow to do gear sizing and stuff and work on some spec sheets for the loose equipment. So that's all underway. That's kind of a headache, but it's fun. All the extrication hydraulic tools have been serviced today by Rescue One, and they're now recertified. The last time that was done that he had record of was 2017, so that was way past needed. It's every 2 years that they're supposed to be done. And the SCBA annual fit test and the annual flow test are upcoming, scheduled for August the 21st. That keeps all of our air packs compliant. I think there's like 20 of those that has to be done, plus all the members. Like I told you, the ladder truck from Brindley Mountain, we'd spoke to them. We're awaiting the hydraulic parts to be returned from the supplier, and they said roughly 1 to 2 weeks, but that's all they have left on it. It's ready to go once they get the hydraulic parts back in. And John, we've used about 12,000 for this month. That's all I have for fire. Any questions?
Any questions from the alderman on the fire side? Okay. Let me chime in on this. You've heard it many times. I'm going to say it again. We have now a fire chief that not only does training, does maintenance, does inventory. And this is all very part of an effective fire department. So thank you for that work and for maintaining the grant status and getting it done. So I appreciate that. I'm sure the alderman.
On the codes enforcement side, and I'm going to keep talking because I know you all are busy. Codes enforcement, there's multiple small signs, that when I call them the small signs, just the small signs you see on the boulevard and the side streets. So on the 4th of July parade, we pulled tons of those things. We had, almost the back of a truck full of them. Some of those signs included auction signs. And I'm kind of a part of the real estate signs. If there's an auction sign that has a date listed on it, I try to leave it alone because that kind of gives me an idea that they are going to pull it. You know, usually they're only there for a week or so. And I pulled one because there was no date on it. We worked it out with the auctioneer that had posted the sign, and I reminded him of the sign ordinance. So when I pull these signs, I'm not doing it to be a thorn. It falls into the sign ordinances, and I try to be fair to everybody. And I actually knew the guy's sign that I pulled, and I told him that I pulled my mother's sign because we have an ordinance, and I'm trying to uphold the ordinance. So anyway, that's a big problem. I just like to tell everybody that I'm not picking on anybody, but there are a sign ordinance in town that we're trying to follow. There's been paperwork that's been served on several residential yards on the Laurel Lake end that needs addressing, and we're waiting action on that. I think we got a re-inspection in a couple of weeks on them, and we'll see how that goes. That's the code side. Anything on the codes anybody wants to address? We can answer. Okay. On the building inspections, it's a pretty quiet month. We've done 6 inspections on that, and I've issued 2 COs. And I think there's a few that's called about submitting a permit application for buildings, so we're just waiting on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Codes, we covered.
Yep. Codes is
AJ
covered.
as well.
Yes, sir.
AJ, do you have anything to add on the
No, sir, just
ordinance side?
the sign ordinance is a big thing right now in yard maintenance with the high grass and stuff. That's the main thing during summertime.
On the signs, it's election time,
Yes.
so I'm sure there are a few.
But we don't mess
election
with
signs
political signs. You know, the
Okay.
political signs, there's some side stipulations on the political signs.
Is Is there anything else, any questions from the aldermen about those reports? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, utility, well, Parks and Rec, Jessica, do you want to mention the grant?
I'm not sure we're gonna be able to apply for that, so I don't want to
Okay.
say too much about it.
No, there's not too much, but let me put it this way, as grants come up, we want to look at them and see if A, we're eligible, B, if we can do the matching part of it, and see if it's something the town wants to get involved in. So Jessica's looking at one, Martha Ann Pilcher from our beautification committee may be looking at one, but as they come up, the point is, people will look at them and see what we can do with them. So I just wanted to pass that on. Utility manager, John?
I don't have nothing unless y'all do. You mentioned that we started on the I&I program August 5th. We got the press started today down at the plant with the flood.
Well, the thing at the plant, you want to touch on that just briefly as to what they're doing, basically?
Well, every year we have a press come in for the sludge. That we have to get rid of sludge. And we have a press come in and our phosphorus, if we don't have this done, our phosphorus gets out of limits. And we're gonna have to start having them come twice a year to do this. We have it once a year. When we've got land permitted, we haul it out to the land, dump it on the land, then we go back with a spreader and spread it out later. Just the process has to be done every year.
It's an ongoing thing, and I want to mention this about water and sewer. Just generally, so you realize, you say, where's the money going? Well, both plants have to do a certain amount of required testing for TDEC. Both plants have to watch their pumps and meters and gauges and all of that that goes with running these plants. It's an extensive project, so there's machinery to maintain, but there's also constant testing of the effluents on both sides. And these reports go to the comptroller. It's nothing that we dreamt up that we need in City Hall. This is all state required, and in many cases goes as high as the comptroller's office. So I just wanted to put that out, that there will be ongoing work for all of that. Martha Ann?
Why is there more phosphorus in the water?
That's part of, well, John?
The solid built up builds the phosphorus up. It's a biological treatment that goes through. If you can't get rid of the sludge, then you don't get your full biological treatment.
Is the sludge from stormwater runoff?
No, sludge from the sewer plant.
From the sewer plant?
Yes, ma'am.
The sludge is maybe known as hard debris and not liquid. Stormwater would be literally water, but the plant processes everything. So the solids we need to get rid of, the water, hopefully we can stop with the stormwater. Yes, sir.
It also grows algae inside the pipes, which helps stop up leaks. Many municipalities are doing that, and maybe the reason some of our drinking water smells like creek water.
I'm not sure of that, but we'll look into that. I think our water plant has been getting testing and things done that are satisfactory to the state requirements.
I've had my water tested twice, and the phosphates were through the roof.
Yeah, and they do. And we try to bring them down, and we've been meeting with different consultants to look at both plants, quite honestly. So as I say, it's an ongoing process of water and sewer treatment, and it's a larger scale operation than maybe some may realize. So I just wanted to put that out there.
But typically, Martha Ann, to answer your question, phosphorus usually comes from soaps. So most heavy detergents have phosphates in them, and that becomes phosphorus pollution. So when you have a lot of phosphorus, that just means you're treating a lot of soapy water.
Chemistry 101. Okay. Mr. Lane?
The report there, Nate, can you tell us something about my water purchase from Tracy City? It says 263,010 gallons.
Yeah, I was going to, if you were done, John, just thank you for putting together this report and show it to people. So this is a monthly water report that we've asked John to begin to do for us. There's a water report and there's a sewer report. The reason I put it up there is to show Laurel Lake levels, because I think we had that micro drought and people were really concerned about the water level, and it is down, but it's not down appreciably from where it was last year. And so I just try to put that to say it's good that we conserve water, and we're for the year running about 8 inches last time I checked above normal on our rainfall. So we want everybody to conserve, but we also want to let everybody know that we're doing okay.
What month is that? What month is that?
That's June, so I'm assuming that's the end of June. So for the other part, so Monteagle buys water every month from Tracy City through several different meters. And so we have one main meter that connects at Ingman Farm, and that is mostly, according to John, we generally use that just to balance the pressures out at that end of town. So we'll bring water in to help keep the pressure up at that end of town. We also, I think, have 4 other meters that serve different customers in our service area that are not otherwise connected to our system. So there are always portions of Monteagle that get all their water from Tracy City because they're not physically connected to our system, but we buy it at wholesale and then turn around and sell it to them. So that I think I might have to bring it back over because my eyes aren't good. The one of those Tracy City taps is that main tap that we use to balance pressure. So to answer your question, Dean, that's the one that's actually connected to our water system.
We can purchase how much per day from Tracy City under contract?
Ooh, I just looked at the contract, but it's not on the top of my head. We don't purchase nearly what we can. And
that's my point. I think it's 100,000 gallons a day, up to 21 million gallons a year from the town of Tracy at $1.19 per thousand.
Funny you should ask the question. You seem to already have the answers.
Well, I don't know.
Go ahead.
My point is, 10 or 12 years ago, when Haley was the engineer, they did the cost of treating water at our plant, and it was much higher, the cost, than the $1.19 was. And so we increased drastically the purchase of water from Tracy City when we were buying it cheaper than we could treat it. And then at one time, we had a pump up there close to between Housing Project and Billy's Market there during a severe drought one time that we could actually, I think, John, couldn't we at night or something fill our tank or something?
Booster pump.
Yeah, booster pump, but at certain times we could fill our tank, couldn't we?
No, that's a boost pressure on it from something.
Okay. Is that still in force? Okay, so the Tracy City deal takes care of that. Okay. But anyway, my question would be, if we can buy it cheaper than we can produce it, and people get frantic when they see the lake dropping, I can't understand why we don't buy more water from Tracy City.
We're looking to verify that, so I've gotten some of the data together, but I'm not quite sure that that's still the case. Certainly what I think that, we just did a drought plan. We just passed a drought plan last month, and it sort of talked about how we did voluntary and then mandatory restrictions. One of the things it didn't talk about that I think it should is how we ramp up our purchases from Tracy City as the drought progresses, because I think the earlier we do that, the better off we'll be. So we've had a couple of conversations with our engineer about how to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Utility department? I'm sorry, State Street?
I don't have anything. Unless y'all do.
Oh,
Any questions there?
I had another question for John. That we're going to be voting on we've got bids on replacing a piece of equipment at Grundy Housing Authority.
Oh, yeah. Call out.
Yeah, can you tell us about that?
Well, what it is a call-out system. If you have trouble, it's set up on the high floor. If you have high water, something happens to a pump, they'll call me or call whoever we put on. They'll call us and let us know there's trouble at that lift station. But we've got 10 of them that need to be replaced. You don't have to do them all at once, but they need to be replaced. They're outdated. And I think we got 2 that works.
So that bid was to replace all 10 of them,
No,
or just one?
one.
It did seem like cheap for all of them.
That's the one. So see, just quick, you have an overflow. Well, I've got to report every overflow to the state.
Yeah.
Within 24 hours.
So 2 out of 10 of them work?
As far as I know, there's 2 that works.
Thanks.
And that one don't.
This
I just have a question. Do we have a timeline on when Payne Avenue is going to be marked?
one? No, is the short answer. It's now at the point where I need to find someone that can line it professionally and get the road width to follow the existing road closer to Moffett. And then we just come out, make sure the stop sign is in the right place, and then designate parking for the businesses on either side of Payne Avenue. So that should be done hopefully soon as I get some contract prices to mark Payne Avenue, and then the rest would go to the landowners depending on their survey. Okay, did you want to do the sewer report, Chad? And the water report, or what did you do?
I think we probably talked enough. The sewer report seemed pretty straightforward. I guess everybody got it in their packet.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to do. All right, so that's it for utility and road, I guess?
Katie has a question.
Go ahead.
I have one other question about the sludge. When the sludge is scraped or whatever was done, where does it go?
To the land that we have a land permit for, and it's taken there and spread, and we have an agreement with the owner of the property.
And it's far away or not?
It's just outside the city
Outside
limits.
the city.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It was next to your property for many years, as I'm sure you're aware of.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Was trying to make sure it wasn't going right there right now.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, anything on the planning commission or any alderman have anything to bring up at this time? We're now at old business, the second reading of ordinance 12-24. Is there a motion to accept that ordinance on the second reading?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, that's approved. Under new business, we did the purchase of the police car. We're now at the first reading of ordinance 14-24, campgrounds, use on review. Is there a motion to accept on first reading of ordinance 14-24, which is in your packet?
Do you need to explain what these ordinances are?
I didn't find that particular one in the packet because Doreen was looking for it today.
I can find it.
I think she
Did I?
since received it.
Let me see if.
Do you have it? No.
Oh, I may have it right here.
Okay.
It was sent
Yeah,
from the
here it is.
packet.
Got it. Got it.
Caption of 1424 reads, an ordinance to amend section 501 of the Monteagle zoning ordinance to make campgrounds to be a use on review with a special exception approval required by the Board of Zoning Appeals in the C2 Highway Commercial District in the town of Monteagle. And what it basically does is just amend the language in section 501 for permitted use. Is there a motion to accept on the first reading?
This is first reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Ordinance 14-24 on the first reading.
So it's so moved. Discussion.
Okay, is there a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Okay, now, discussion on the motion. Anyone have any thoughts or comments?
No, I don't.
How did this come out of a conversation for a request to do a campground in C3? I think that was what originally started this conversation, wasn't it? At the planning commission level? And I'm not on the planning commission, but I've been going to meetings.
Planning commission level, they were going back and forth as to where to put the campgrounds as defined.
Never did get a real clear understanding on what this actual ordinance really meant by way of the planning commission. I apologize to say that, but that was my reading. The reality is, it just seems like that it was a pick and choose type thing, where you can put a campground or where you can't put a campground. Never had a problem with campgrounds. We've had campgrounds in Monteagle for 50 years. I think there's still one behind the smokehouse. But anyway, I just don't, I never did clearly understand the legalities of all that ordinance myself. So I'm sort of in the dark on what this ordinance is really going to accomplish.
Well, then, what's the Alderman's wish? You want to send it back to the planning commission for clarification?
Well, it says to amend the language in section 501. I don't know what the language says now in 501, the reason we're amending it.
Right now, it says that campgrounds are permitted in C2 without use on review. And I have no problem with use on review. I just know their original request was to do it in C3. And I guess a question, and Katie's with the planning commission, so she had her hand up, so maybe she can help us. Why would we not do use on review on C2 and C3?
Campgrounds not allowed.
Right, but if we're amending the language, why couldn't we amend the language? Go ahead.
This wasn't in response to the request for C3. This was until we got everything worked out with the AIA, until we got all of the plan worked out. This was to put the special exception use language in there so that we had a little bit more control and over what was going on until we really knew what direction the town wanted to go and how we were going to work out the overall zoning.
Okay, so the guy who was requesting,
He wasn't here.
he wasn't at that meeting?
No,
Okay,
we had
okay.
just decided to address this. We're trying to tighten, work on some, we have to go forward with certain things. We're not doing any drastic rezoning of anything right now, but we were trying to make sure that we were prepared if we got certain requests until we got all the AIA things presented to us and we were going forward with that plan.
Okay.
Just to clarify, Mr. Hill.
I'm the one that requested it to be in a C3. I've not got to answer I understood everything was put on hold till y'all come up with something. Now y'all are trying to vote on some ordinance tonight to change campgrounds.
So your request initially was to have a campground in C3?
Yes.
And does this eliminate that and say it's only dealing with C2?
We weren't adding anything additional. We weren't adding any new areas for campgrounds. All we did was add special exception in C2.
In C2.
So just to clarify, this would give the city discretion to approve or deny a campground in C2?
Yes.
And special exception works a little bit more nuanced in that it's based on criteria. So we're working on a plan, and so based on that plan, you make a decision informed by the plan and in negotiation with the landowner.
And that would mean that would go to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I came to City Hall a couple of weeks ago and asked about a campground in C3 across the interstate there in front of the Shot Creek property, called the Oliver property, and they had that rezoned from industrial R3, I think, and then campgrounds were allowed in R3, as I recall.
I think that's right.
Anyway, our property is right in front of that, and so campgrounds are allowed right behind us. And I asked, what is the process that I need to do to ask about permitting a campground on our property? And I was told, make an application to the BZA. Is that?
I don't think that's I guess you can make an appeal to the BZA. We've never gone through that before, but that would make sense.
Okay.
But I guess I'm wondering, can we or should we send this back and ask them about, because I knew that there were multiple requests in C3 and not C2. If we make it a special exception in both zoning districts, then we have maintained that ability to.
But what's so special about having a campground? I don't understand.
Were you part of the conversation when the planning commission was talking about it last time? I think there are. There are people who do RVing and people who don't. I mean, I grew up in an RV, so I'm a big fan of campgrounds in general. And there are some residential places where it's inappropriate. And I think there's an argument to be made that in the highest use districts, they may not generate it from a town. We got to think about this from a tax revenue standpoint. They may not generate enough tax revenue to be put right next to the interstate. I think that part of town might lend itself well to campgrounds, and so I think in my mind it's about beginning a conversation with the landowners to say what can we do that benefits you all and the landowners.
Well, in my case, I've had an interest in a party wanting to do a destination campground there. I always refer to it as a KOA. It's not supposed to be a KOA, but that type of campground. And as property owners, I always go back to property owner rights. I don't see where, if there's a campground there, that it would hurt the adjoining property owners devalue their property when the property right behind me is already in a residential zone and says you can put a campground in a residential zone. And to me, it's like you would rather have it out there as far as ingress and egress out instead of back there on Wells Road, putting the campground out there and having 100 campers a day come in and out on Wells Road. It seems like the city has gotten to where they have to like the idea or the concept, or we can't do it.
Well, that was why I asked the question. I don't disagree with what you're saying. That's why I asked the question.
So why doesn't the city resolve it?
Well,
can y'all go above the planning commission and say this is the ordinance we want? You send it to the planning commission for input, what's the recourse if the city council feels like there should be a different rule than what the planning commission is recommending?
Well, I was just going to suggest that we send it back to them. Can we do that? Yeah, I think we should send it back to them.
I would rather that it come from them, we review it, and especially with these comments in mind, and maybe give them some guidance as to what would work and not work, as opposed to us drafting something and sending it back and it not being approved for whatever reason. It may be cleaner just to have planning commission send us something, but after some research and discussion. And I believe there'll be a planning commission workshop, if not in August, September, based on attendance and everything.
But the problem with that is, as people that are out here looking for sites to develop campgrounds, they have multiple potential sites, and they're not necessarily going to wait on me to wait till September, and one time we started in November, and it was the next November on something I done for review. And it's hard to get people that want to invest a couple $1 million in a campground, and we're waiting on the city to review it.
I have a question for this gentleman. I know you've been to planning commissions and city meetings for 6 months. You're wanting C3.
I want a campground in C3.
Okay. So what do we have to do to help this gentleman? Because I know he's been here 6 months trying to get this campground going.
Well, I would suggest we send it back to the Planning Commission and ask them to consider making it a special exception in both C2 and C3. I don't think we can take that action. I think we have to ask them to consider it.
Where's your
first.
camp?
So we can ask them to consider it, and it sounds like this first reading is not going to pass.
Where's your campground? Where are you wanting to put it?
It'll be on Trussell Road, across the interstate,
By the T-Dot.
by the T-Dot. It's the last property, it's in the city limits.
I know.
Wasn't that where Joe Sargent was?
Where you trying to go to the T-Dot?
Okay, I'm with you.
Right.
And I should point out too, for people who have concerns about campgrounds, our zoning ordinance deals with things like tenure and how long you can stay there, and really does a good job of making sure that campgrounds are going to be an asset to the community. So I've stayed in all sorts of campgrounds over the country, and then there are all sorts of campgrounds. But I think our zoning ordinance does a good job of making sure that the campgrounds that we would put inside the city limits would be an asset. And we just got to figure out exactly where they should go. And to your point, Dean, I mean, you're on the committee with me. We're going to start thinking about this, and we need to get it. We need to figure it out. Once we have a general plan, I think it becomes much easier to make these decisions. And a lot of this I attribute to trying to make decisions without sort of an overarching plan.
So do you think we could get this gentleman taken care of by year's end?
So I think we've gone through this once before. If the Planning Commission decides to take no action, then we can take action. Isn't that right? I think that's right. So we just
That's right.
we send it back to them, and if they choose to take no action, then we can take action. Yeah.
And they meet next month,
Yes, we meet in August.
next week.
August
You should
5th.
know something.
The 5th.
The first Tuesday of the month.
6th.
Oh, it's the 6th. Sorry, you're right. 5th is Monday.
And I feel sorry for the gentleman.
Okay, then, well, there's a motion on the floor, it's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, I was going to make a motion to table it, but
Well, that's fine, I just want to get rid of this motion.
okay. Well, okay.
All right, so let's do it again. All those in favor of,
Can I just propose a new motion that we send it back to the Planning Commission?
yeah, we just have to get rid of the motion of the first reading. So if nobody votes for that, then you're resisting the motion.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought that's what I was voting on,
I know.
was to take it back to the planning commission.
It's been moved and seconded that there be a first reading of Amendment 14-24, campgrounds on review. There's been discussion. All those in favor of that motion, say aye. Hearing none, all those opposed, say aye.
Aye.
Therefore, it's defeated. And now, Mr. Wilson, you have a motion?
I would like to move that we ask the Planning Commission to consider making campgrounds a use upon review in both C2 and C3.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll make a second to that motion.
Thank you. Is there discussion on the motion? Anyone have any further comments or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is approved. Okay, just going down the agenda, Nate, do you want to talk about St. John's Engineering?
We should say that we're going to table the conversation on unmanned traffic cameras till next month so that we can deal with the contract issues and review that. Amendment to the St. John Engineering Services contract. So St. John's is the engineer of record on the multimodal, the sidewalk project between the Assembly and the Mario Curve. And because it was in sight of both the Assembly and Morton Memorial Church, they decided it needed a historic structures review. So TDOT has come back and asked for a historic structures review to be done. So St. John's came back and said that's going to cost about $16,000. doesn't cost the town anything because this is a 95-5 match. So 95% of it is paid by TDOT. And because this is going to get the trail, the Mountain Goat Trail through town, the Mountain Goat Trail is paying the other 5%. But it is a town contract, so we need to approve the contract.
Therefore, your motion is?
Therefore, I move we approve the contract amendment with St. John's Engineering to allow for historic review in the multimodal project.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have, what John mentioned earlier, this notification system on lift stations. There you have the 3 quotes. I believe, John, do you have a recommendation of a contractor or any input on this? RW services a lot of our equipment now, don't
He
they?
does, yeah. He sure does.
And his price was in line, but how long has RW been servicing the town?
About 25 years.
Okay. Do you have anything to add to this before they vote?
No.
Okay. Any
He's-
discussion?
He's done us good.
He's done good.
Is,
Anytime you call it, you'll be here.
is there any opportunity to get a break in pricing if we do more? If we're replacing one and 8 out of 10 are broke,
I
why?
don't know, well, if you just place one at a time though, I don't know if you know.
I think we should look at that down the road. I think that 4,700.
So go ahead and,
I would approve, well, if the council is willing, I would approve this and then investigate volume purchasing.
We
John,
can
to
probably
see if we
drop
can
off
get-
2 of them. That would be the city hall, this little bitty one. And the parade.
Well, that's what we should go over and we'll do that the next round. I just want to get this because it's out of service, right? Is this one out of service?
No.
It still works?
They got red lights on sitting out on the side of the road. Like the police come through, they see them, they call. They probably away these 2 little,
because they have red lights, is that what you're saying?
out on the side of the road, yeah.
So we're replacing this one because nobody can see it and we're afraid it's going to have a discharge and nobody will notice.
Right, exactly.
Okay. So the other 8 that are down, or 6 that are down, I guess, how many did you say?
We've got 10 altogether.
You got 10 altogether, we're replacing 1, and,
And we'll
They
take
could go out there, we say.
but the other ones we can live without. Is that what you're saying, because they're visible?
These 2,
Yeah, well, if there's 6 broke, then I guess I'm wondering why the other ones are staying broke.
they ain't staying broke, they quit working in time. They've been in there so long. They're outdated.
Right, but we're only replacing the 1 because,
You don't have the money to do everything.
okay. All
Let's
right,
do the one and then, John, if you would, let's look at the others and contact some of these contractors
Okay,
and see if there's any volume purchasing to be beneficial.
okay.
but to answer this question, this is coming out of repairs and maintenance budget within the enterprise fund, is that
Yes.
right?
Okay, is there a motion? Do we have a motion on this?
I move to accept the low bid, is it RW?
RW?
Yeah, RW Construction.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 07-24 concerning RBT.
Yeah.
Do you have a report on that?
Sure, since this is mine, let me bring it up so everybody can see it. All right. So, just a little background and history. I think most folks remember a little bit about the history. So RBT came seeking a permit to build a truck stop in 2021. They separately submitted a site plan to turn a wrecker, the current Rocky Top wrecker. They were going to combine it as part of that. Both of those site plans were approved separately. And there was a whole lot of conversation around it. And I was involved in a lot of that conversation, had some good conversations with both Rodney and Brian about how this could occur and how this could be an asset to the community. And so I want to start by saying that when I approved the rezoning for this, it was in conversations with these folks about how this could be an asset to the community. Now, during that time, we were in a rush for time because they needed to get some construction going, I think, before cold weather and before wet weather is what we were talking about. And so at the time, there were some things left incomplete on that site plan. One thing was the plan had been to combine Rodney's property with RBT, and it was related to the traffic issues and how trucks would traverse. And so in conversations with Brian, we said, you know, we can do that and we can amend that once we get this all approved, and we'll figure out how to go forward. There were also some questions about how the neighbors would be protected. The site plan that was passed has some provisions in it that are kind of either or, that they were supposed to come back to the Planning Commission and answer them after a couple months. And then in addition to that, I was reviewing the minutes from when it was approved the other day. There were 3 other different provisions in there, and I don't remember what they were, that were basically, there were things left undone. So that was 2020-21. We are now, July 7th marked 3 years since that site plan was approved. And the way Tennessee law works on what's called vested property rights, there are certain benchmarks to be met to maintain those vested property rights. And vested property rights is your right to build an approved plan. And we approve those plans. And the way vested property rights work, they're benchmarks. And so 3 years is what the state says everybody gets when a site plan is approved. And if that site plan is approved and the building permits are gotten and maintained and construction begins and there's progress, you get an additional 2 years. And if during that additional 2 years, you get more progress made and you maintain all your permits, you can get up to 10 years to have the right to build that development according to state law once you've had a site plan approved. Now the site plan for RBT, as I said, it was approved on July the 7th. They were issued a stop work order about 17 months ago because of issues with the building permit that our building inspector knows more about than I do. During that 17 months, they have not remedied those issues. And so now we are not only 3 years beyond their approval date, we're 3 years beyond their approval date, and there has not been an active permit for 17 months. So I propose this resolution, and the reason is because of all the unfinished things that we had talked about before. And I still did believe then, and still believe now, that this development could work in Monteagle. And I know I make a lot of people uncomfortable when I say that, and I see a lot of no nodding heads. But when I talked to Rodney and Brian at the time, and I believe now, that we could thread this needle and make it work. And the conversations I had with Brian at the time were, let's get it approved and we can make those changes. Those changes involved 3 things. Well, they involved 2 things. The first one was how traffic would come in and out of that. If you were part of that process, you remember that TDOT was not super excited about that level of traffic in front of the ball fields, but they worked out an easement so that they could go through Rodney's property and bring trucks out onto Forsyth. Brian and I talked about revising that site plan to be able to get all the truck traffic onto Forsyth so that we could put a light on Forsyth so that we kept them out of Main Street and kept that truck traffic off of in front of the ball fields. I think I took it. Yeah. The second thing that Brian and I had a lot of good conversation about was how do we transition from this large development to downtown? And we've now been working on a plan that I'd love to share with you guys that talks about how we envision Monteagle growing and moving forward. And I believe, and you and I talked about, that there are ways that we can make that happen and make that work. I've got some ideas. You and I talked about ideas then. I have heard from other people on the council that y'all have got some new ideas about how this development might unfold. So I introduced this resolution because I would like to see a new and complete site plan. One that includes Rodney's property, one that is comprehensive, one that gets the traffic off of Main Street and gets it over to Forsyth Avenue, and most importantly, one that conforms to our new stormwater ordinance, which we just passed 45 minutes ago. So my idea had been that this was the most expeditious way to do that. We've been talking about special exceptions. Truck stops are now a special exception in C3. It means they go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I sit on the Board of Zoning Appeals. I'm happy to have that conversation, and it gets to Dean's points too, that we have a planning process that is not functioning very well right now, because we don't try to think comprehensively about how developers who are bringing potential projects into this town can integrate into our town, and so it becomes unnecessarily adversarial. And so I thought that this was a good way to reset the process and begin that conversation. That's what it was about. That's why I did it. And with that, I'm sure that other people want to talk. Well, so we had a conversation with council before we came here to just try to talk through what some of our options were. And he made a suggestion that we are outside of the vested property rights. Those expired on July 7th. So nothing we do now is going to change that. But his suggestion was to table this resolution for 30 days and enter into a conversation with you guys about how we can work with y'all to, within that, over the next month. And so I'm willing to now table this resolution and have that conversation if you guys are willing.
May I speak to that? Thank you. First, I don't think we are beyond the vested period. When you read the statute, that this allows for you to extend that 3 years, one. And two, during that 3-year period of time, they were tied up in litigation with multiple parties. It went all the way to the Court of Appeals. So from July of 21 until July 24 of 23, 2 of your 3 vested years, they were tied up in litigation and could not do anything anyway. Nothing. They could have been throwing their money away. They had to wait until they had an opinion from the Court of Appeals before they could do anything. Then also, if I'm not mistaken, I think Travis will stand for the fact that all of the issues that called the stop work order about 18 months ago were resolved, were remedied within the allotted 90-day period of time. And if that's the case, I mean, where are we? Now, if that 2 of the 3 years were caused by litigation that prevented them from moving forward, aren't they entitled to a stay? And could this city even issue a new permit during that 2-year period, knowing the litigation is still ongoing at that time?
Mr. Leonard, full disclosure, I've contacted on speakerphone Mr. Elliott.
That's fine. I had a discussion with Sam before today. Sam and I have had a discussion. I wasn't going to come here without talking to the attorney.
No, I understand.
So there was no stop work order issued by the court. So there was nothing prohibiting the work during that time. So I understand.
The stop order was issued by the town.
Right, but during the litigation, that nothing in the litigation prevented work from occurring. Had there been, and the law is very clear, Rusty, and you, I'm sure, have read it, that if the court issues an injunction, then vested property rights go on hold. That's what it says.
We had a motion for declaratory judgment filed against these people. They could not do anything further without potentially throwing money in our hole. And you know that as well as I do.
That is very well may be the case.
And that cause for a stay on the part of this town. If you read the statute, it gives you the authority to bend your rules when you think they need to be bent and you think this is good for the town. My next question is this, and then I'm going to shut up. Will your new stormwater ordinance kill their plan?
No.
Okay. I also noticed that only one property was referenced in this. And I'm wondering why just the one? Map 22 KC parcel 002.07.
I think that's the combined parcel currently on the assessor's page.
So it's been combined into one parcel at this point?
No. When y'all approved the site plan, it's bring the traffic out in front of Chinese place. TDOT said if we had an extra lane going the other way to bring them out by the truck stop, they'd be more than happy. We don't have to, but that was a gift to them and y'all to work. But our place is going to be big enough to turn around in, not like the pilot. Every time you get off the exit at the pilot, you sit and wait and get in, get into town. When we get this built, traffic's going to come on. We'll end up getting half their business. I ain't saying all of it, half the traffic will move. We're going to have more parking places. The problem with pilots just ain't here in Monteagle. It's everywhere you go to. They want you to go in, get fuel, eat your snack, and leave. Them truck drivers, they want to eat something, and they're going to go in and take a shower and leave their trucks at the pump. But, I mean, that's our place is going to solve a lot of problems. The traffic and everything.
So this is all about getting a site plan together that addresses the issues that you and I talked about.
There ain't nothing else to change. We ain't put my shop in the site plan yet. We ain't gonna put it in there until we get this and built. My place has got nothing to do with the site plan y'all approved. Y'all approved mine, but I never bought a permit.
I know you didn't. Yeah.
I didn't buy a permit.
I know you didn't.
I know. But when we get this built, we're going to come back to y'all and combine them where we know where that's what TDOT and everybody told us to do.
Part of our problem also is the fact that because of all of the litigation, the money lenders were not going to assist these people in getting this built. Now we were on the verge of breaking the ground, pouring the concrete, and here we are. If we go back to develop a whole nother site plan, they're liable to lose their financing again.
We've lost food. We can't go back again.
What I'm asking,
I mean, y'all gonna have to come back
what I'm offering is to say this, because Rusty's right. The law does allow us to extend the vested property rights. We have to do that by written determination.
Correct.
And it allows us to do this. And according to Sam, we could just do this. We don't have to actually have this resolution. But the point behind the resolution was to be transparent and be clear with everybody about what was going on. I don't like to just make executive decisions in the back room. I don't think that's fair to anybody.
We've been through this 1,001 times. We're not going through this again. We got a developer going to put this thing in an hour and 30 days, and you can get your building inspector up here. We're good with him. We're going to put it in hour. This time I lose another one. The people, this town, got us for two, before y'all's time, lost us 2 bankers, right? And we ain't going that route no more with this guy. He's got enough money, he don't need no banker. So, I mean, just keep on going to do a site plan. Nothing changed. Somebody mentioned the Taco Bell. We weren't going to build a place for a Taco Bell. We was going to rent them a place inside. I don't care how many times we go to the Plan Commission, nothing's changed. We ain't got nothing to tell you.
So Ronnie, I'm offering you the opportunity to sit down with us and look at the plan. I'm offering to stay
3 or 4 years, Nate. We ain't going to look at them no more.
Rodney, I'm going to suggest that you accept Nate's offer. This is not saying that we are definitely looking at a new site plan. It is saying, let's look at it and see what we need to do to fix it.
There ain't nothing
Thank you.
for us.
Well, but I don't know. All I'm saying. Yes,
No, there ain't nothing to fix.
we're being tossed an apple. Let's take the apple.
Ronnie, a lot of stuff has changed in the last 3 years.
No,
And
nothing's changed with us. The site plan ain't changed. You know what I mean? Everything's changed. I told you before I got you here tonight.
Well, Brian, would you be willing to sit down? I mean, I know most of the conversations with you.
This entire night, ever since the chaplain led us in prayer so eloquently.
I'm gonna sue this mother.
If everybody's motives are what they say they are, I think we can come up with a really workable solution that everybody's happy with. Where we get a little frazzled is understanding that that's probably not the case, at least 100% of the board. So that's where his emotions are sort of mimicking where I am, is I need to trust what your motives are with this.
I've told you what my issues are.
Right.
And here's the thing. What I'd love to do is show you our AI report, because I think it's really good. I think one of the questions that several people have asked is, where does the interstate exit end and where does town begin? You and I have had that conversation. No, that's a planning issue. That's a how.
But our original plan kind of mirrored the pilot, and the TDOT official came out to me and he said, "Man, if we had to do that all over again, there is no way we would approve it. I need it to be done like this." And so they're the ones that changed it. We didn't. They did.
No, I'm talking about look and feel, and I'm
yes.
And you and I talked about that quite a bit.
Yes.
And I think there are ways that we can work with that. I would like it to conform with the stormwater ordinance, and there's nothing in the stormwater ordinance that kills it. But what it does is it does require you to capture the first inch that comes off the first inch of rainfall after a 72-inch dry period. And it allows for more capture. So we didn't in the original site plan, we didn't deal with that capture for the hydrocarbons that would be floating there. I think we can figure that out. It was not intended to do anything other than protect the water quality of Laurel Lake.
So what we're talking about doing is sitting down and visiting the current site plan to see if and what may need fixing, and if how we can tweak it so we can get this thing built?
Yes. And what I would like to do too, and this is to your point, Rodney, is I don't want to give up on this. Combining the site plans allows us to work with the truck traffic to get it on Forsyth Avenue. And when you look at the planning documents and you look at how downtown is working, we can do that. You've got a truck stop across the street, you've got a truck stop down the road. There's nothing out of character. You've got trucks running through from the sand quarry. There's nothing out of character about having trucks on Forsyth. But when they start interfering with the city park, we start to have problems. And we had this conversation. This is not new. And I hope that I'm being consistent with the conversations we had before.
I want to ask some questions about, I know y'all beating around the stormwater bush. I know where it's going. What is them ponds up there for we spend all that money on? I mean, like Core Orange, we got in that wastewater, that wetland deal. What is them ponds? Ain't that to catch stormwater?
That's construction stormwater. And so we're looking at post-construction, and your site plan may already conform to our stormwater ordinance. But here's what happened to me, and here's why that's personal to me. I believe in protecting the water in Laurel Lake. I think everybody here agrees with that. So before that zoning vote came up, I asked Marilyn, has our engineer reviewed this stormwater measures and found them to be adequate? And she said yes. And she was just confused, because when I asked the engineer about it afterwards, he said, I looked at it from a legal standpoint, and there was no legal statute in place at that time to deal with post-construction runoff. So he didn't look at it from post-construction runoff. You might be right, Rodney. It may already comply, but I don't know that.
Yeah, when the neighbors got the Army engineers on us, just about like the wetlands down there, there's 2 car loads of them pulled up there. I thought, this is going to be the bad day.
Well, that's a wetland issue. That's a different issue.
I know, but them ponds is down there is going to catch a lot of that runoff. I don't care. What are we going to do, build a place and cover the ponds up?
So this is as simple as looking at the stormwater ordinance and seeing whether it complies. And they may very well already comply. I don't know.
I want to take the podium. I work for the city.
Yes, sir.
So I asked you to stop work order on this, and we've already dug into it. So this stop work order was issued February the 1st, 23. This stop work order was issued based on the stipulations that I've got in my stop work order. I'm sure Rusty has seen it on the grading and excavation permit, which I've had a discussion with this group, and they have pulled the excavation permit since then. We also went into negotiations of reinstating a permit based on city. This town had we had never revocated a permit in Monteagle before. This is groundbreaking procedures for us. The revocation of the permit was based on the International Building Code under 105.5. I revocated the permit because the site plan was under works for years, but there was no foundation started. And prompt work under International Building Code is breaking ground for foundation. So therefore, the permit was revocated and revoked, as I explained that nothing had been taking place for that. I don't know anything about the resolution. I'm not an attorney. All I know about is the construction aspects of this procedure. So on the construction side of it, and I spoke to Rodney and Brian's group, you know, and on the stipulations of the stop work, there was no verification of geotechnicals or anything like that. That's just fancy wording for what their expectations are. Where are they going with this? What's their GC? What's their contractor's scopes? Where he's going with that? What phases are we in? That's all the geotechnicals. That wasn't done. And that was, I've got the reference here in my international code referencing that I put into this. No affirmative commencement on the actual building. I covered that. Then there was a secondary permit issued for 10 yards of concrete. That permit was revocated just because there wasn't 10 yards of concrete that had been poured. So theoretically, there should have been one master permit for this project, and it should have phased out within that master permit, right? So both permits were revocated. So the reinstatement process come back when one of Rodney's managers come to me and asked me back in November, how could we reinstate the permits? I talked to him and I told him, a stop work order doesn't mean that you're done. Stop work orders are able to be reinstated.
Right.
They're itemized black line by black line of what the offense is, as long as they provide and as long as they're in scope of the code. Who are we to say that they can't do, right? But that's where all this comes back from the very beginnings when they submitted this site plan. This is just my opinion, and you know what opinions are like. If this would have been done from day one and followed the procedure, the issuance of a site plan to this planning commission or whatever, and followed in the footsteps of verifying their reports, everything that they should have had, I think this has been a pretty manageable case. Because if that property is zone C3 and the land use schedule falls into the zonings, there's not much I can say because that's violation, right, of civil rights. I can't do that to them. I'm just a building inspector. That's my opinion. And I'm speaking on it from the building inspector's side and not the legal side. So understand that.
Well, let me give you my opinion.
So hang on, Mr. Moran.
Okay.
So they called me last week for a meeting after this resolution come out, and I honestly told them, I said, I don't know anything about that. This is over my head now because this is legal, and this has to do with mayor and alderman and not the building inspector. The resolution has nothing to do with me. So now we're scurrying around and getting contractors lined up, getting all the procedures lined up. They introduced me to their new contractor. He's provided me all the documentations and everything. And I flat out told them, and I'm telling you as their attorney and with our attorney on the phone, I will not sign my name to a permit application until this is resolved. It's too controversial. I spoke my case.
Okay, my opinion on this is I'm not for this resolution. I say we have too much red tape. I've said it from day one. We've got too much red tape. If he has to resubmit a site plan, if his building permit has expired, he has to redo all this anyway. What is the purpose of this? By resubmitting your site plan, whether it has additions or takeaways or whatever for it, your building permits you have to get again. Why are we fighting it? Why are we saying anything about it? He has to go and resubmit. Why are we even thinking about a resolution? We did take into consideration your time that you were in a lawsuit. That has nothing to do with you building, really. I mean, it's something that we couldn't help. You know what I mean? So, well, I mean, I don't mean it's something that we don't have anything to do with. It's something that they couldn't help, we couldn't help. We have to consider the 17 months.
And in the end, we've got to do what's best for the town. And yes, I understand that
You may be broaching a Fourth Amendment taking.
I want to consider those 17 months if they were in litigation. I want to consider those. Again, I'm not for this resolution.
let's think about this from what I'm offering. So the two issues at play, right, are if we vote and approve this tonight, the two issues at play is it becomes a use for special exception, and the stormwater ordinance would apply. Otherwise, we haven't really done anything meaningful to our zoning ordinance at this time. So what I'm offering is to table this and see if we can get the site plan done. I mean, that's my main issue, and I hope I was clear on that. And I know, there were people who were there who knew that there were still issues to be resolved, both within the site plan, but also ones that we had conversations about. And that's all I'm asking is, can we get that on paper?
How long are we talking about?
Well, I'm proposing to table this for 30 days. So we bring it up again.
We've done another site plan. It's in $75,000, $100,000 in engineering another site plan. We already lost our other engineer over before y'all, you know what I'm saying? We ain't getting into another site plan. I'm just telling you.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing has
The
changed.
site
But
plan don't
you do
resolve.
have to resubmit it, right?
No.
No.
You do not?
No.
Okay.
That's what
But
this
do you have
resolution
to
is
get-
about.
Okay, but do you have to get a building permit again?
You gotta get a building permit. We don't care about
Okay.
the building permit or pay the
We were
fine.
told there'd be a
We
small
ain't getting
fee.
into
Okay.
it, guys.
So prior
We've
to
been
this
told that
meeting,
multiple times.
prior to this meeting tonight, we were in legal counsel, and we were given counsel about this resolution. I stand with Doreen about this resolution. I don't see the value of it. I think it's pushing the can down the road a little bit again, and I don't think we need to do that. If there's no site plan required, and we can stay with the same site plan, in all legal terms, I think that's what this council needs to consider doing. This particular resolution tonight is going to be, as Nate said, requested to be tabled, okay? Because we want to work it out. We want to work it out. And from my point of view, we're going to work it out. I fully intend to see it worked out. This isn't the old council. This is a new council. And I'm not going to be part of the old council. I don't know what they did, but apparently it wasn't correct. But my platform for running for this office was to make things better than I found them. Okay? Well, I didn't find things in reference to this development real good when I got here. But I'd like to resolve it, okay?
I'm all for it.
If I may, we have a few people that want to make a comment. Ma'am?
You keep referring to the litigation. What is the deal with the litigation? Why is that? I don't understand what the holdup there was.
They were tied up in litigation with several of the neighbors that back up to the proposed project, as well as to Rodney's record company. And they filed suit over a number of issues. It went to Chancery Court. The Chancery Court ruled in their favor. They took it up on appeal, as well as on a motion for declaratory judgment. Well, that was actually in the Chancery Court, but they took it all up on appeal to the Court of Appeals, and ultimately, on the 24th of July of 2023, 2 years later, we got a mandate from the Court of Appeals ruling in their favor. So we lost 2 years that we could have been doing
You've answered
things.
my question, but my thing is that litigation has nothing to do with the council.
It had to do with spending the money.
Well, in my family, we have an expression, that's a personal problem. It's not the council's problem.
You don't begin spending $18 million on a facility while you're
You
tied
make-
up
you
in
make that
litigation.
You present yourself with that risk if you choose to spend that money.
Okay.
If you choose to buy a house one
Thank-
block off the interstate, that's an issue too.
But aren't you
I mean,
still
who would do that?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Isn't there a
ladies and
nuisance
gentlemen,
pending?
please,
There is a
Mr.
suit
Best, you had
that's been
something?
frozen for months.
Please, let's do one at a time and no cross conversations.
Sorry.
Mr. Best?
If this resolution will pass, so this is like going to the ordinance, it would be applicable to anybody that has basically property rights. This wasn't just about RBT, is that correct?
No, this is just about RBT. And let me tell you why. And it's because RBT is, to my knowledge, the only construction project that has had an approved site plan and had a building permit and begun construction and then ceased construction. It's pretty straightforward, so it does not deal with Rodney's other plan because Rodney never got a building permit. So it's really straightforward there. So that's my intent on it.
Can you read
All right,
that?
wait a minute. Let me elaborate on that a time. I agree with Nate. My point is, if other developers got into a similar situation, the same law would apply to them. Now, it hasn't happened yet, it may not happen in the future, but if it does, with similar situations, it would apply to them. I don't want to give the impression that we're just picking on RBT and nothing else will ever come up.
Right.
If something else does come up, it will be addressed probably in much the same fashion.
So it will be placed in the zoning ordinance as part of our ordinance in the future.
So part of the ordinance too, and all of those initials are in there, this is only fashioned after TCA. It's not that we're saying you can't dig a hole, we're basically reciting state law. But hold on, so does that answer that question? Travis?
To answer what Billy and to chip into what Billy's saying, I don't understand any of the resolution. I'm not an attorney, I'm not legal, I can care less about it. That's my opinion on that. But for me as the building inspector, and to go with what Dan said about pushing forward, this town, in my opinion, needs to develop, if you guys want site plans to expire, we need to put a duration on site plan expiration and do away with this. If site plans expire in a year, then it should expire in a year across the board. It should be 2 years. Whatever you guys find that's the vested interest in the expiration of the site plan, that would eliminate having to go through all this.
Well, this is embarrassing, but we actually did. In June of 2023, the Planning Commission passed a resolution recommending building permit and site plan expiration language to the town. It passed 7-0. It was unanimous. And the planner took another job, and so it never made it to council for approval. If that had been approved, we wouldn't need this. In fact, arguably we don't need it anyway. But what we're doing, if we don't pass something like this, is we're putting it completely in your hands, and that's not fair because we haven't given you any guidance, right? Yeah.
I want to ask a question. I mean, they approved our site plan. And so now we need a building permit. And we're there to get a building permit. So if a new person comes in here wants a building permit, when they get their site plan done, this town can do this and say, let's get all this passed before we give you a building permit. That ain't legal. We've asked for a building permit yesterday, and he got all the stuff to give us a building permit. Y'all should issue us a building permit. We don't care about that. You know what I mean? You see where I'm going? So you can't, this is when we get to court. You can't get into this after we ask you a building permit. You can't go down here and say, hey, I'm gonna build something and get a site plan approved. Then you say, no, let's get something on this, then we're gonna get that approved and we might give you a building permit. That don't work that way. I promise you, it won't, Nate. I know where you're going with it, but that won't work that way. It ain't gonna work that way with me. I know the law. I built 2 funeral homes, one in Jasper, one in Chattanooga, over this same stuff. It didn't work. I beat them. I built them.
Rodney, 3 years passed on July 7th, and you never came to us.
You ain't got this passed yet. We're here tonight to get a building permit.
But all this is stating that 3 years passed on July 7th.
It don't matter. Our site plan's approved, and we're here tonight to get a building permit, and you're gonna say we're gonna settle this before you get a building permit. We don't care about this. Talk about that later after we build this thing. Solved, Rusty. You know the law, and I do too.
Brian, would you be willing to sit down with me? Or do we want to
No.
bring this to a vote?
No.
Again, I'll come back to where I started. For 4.5 years,
Come around and around.
I've tried to put an olive branch out there so that include the neighbors, include everybody's opinions,
Come around and around.
to make it the best possible project that we can be. Every time I attempted to throw the
I'm for
olive
a
branch
building
out,
permit.
it was rejected because our goals weren't the same goals. They wanted to do whatever they had to do to not have a travel center on this site.
I don't think I'm one of those people, am I?
I'm not accusing anybody of anything.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if we're trying to use some sort of resolution as a way to relitigate something that's already been litigated for 2 years, and to Rusty's point, how many lawsuits? And everyone. It didn't even stop until we started to threaten to sue the attorneys that were bringing the frivolous lawsuits. That's when they finally stopped. But it's been that way since going back to 2020. So again, if we're talking about let's all come together and make this the best possible project that we can be, I think we're all ears to that conversation. If we're talking about something completely dishonest and let's use this legal system to try to relitigate something that's already been litigated over and over again, then that's a completely different conversation.
Well, you want to give us 30 days to figure it out?
It shouldn't take 30 days to answer that
That's
question.
that's you and I talking about whether or not we can come to
There's
it.
got to be a way to either.
Brian, we can't, ain't no use talking to them no more. We will lose our developer. We already lost 2 banks over years, and that's no, Nate, the problem is no. We ain't waiting 30 days. Tonight, we asked you for a building permit. We got a site plan approved. This guy back here says we can get one, and y'all need to sign us one, bottom line.
Well, let me go back, and maybe I didn't present myself the way I should have. I do not agree with this resolution.
That's got nothing to do with it.
I know, I'm just saying, I don't agree with it. What do we do? What do we have to do tonight to get him his building permit?
May I suggest, issue him his building permit, and then let's schedule some discussions.
Yes, I agree with that.
That would say, hey,
all
we're really trying to make this work.
I bet it would.
Well, hold on for 1 second. Billy Best?
Look, one of the things the previous administration and the current administration has done is put the public at a huge disadvantage. It's requiring us to watch hours of videos going back through the decisions were made with the Planning Commission and the Alderman over this situation. It's not fair. And then you say, well, we're going to start keeping accurate minutes. They're not on the website. You can't find minutes. So we have to sit down at home and go through hours and hours and hours of old meetings when people sit up in front of this Planning Commission and beg for a building permit because they say, I have to add the 3 bays under my current business to honor my franchise, so I have to have it tonight. And those 3 bays 5 years later still haven't been added. So do they have to come before the franchise agreement's honored? And then you got people like Garrett Haynes who sat up here and said he would not approve this, who would not allow the Planning Commission to approve it until all the properties were consolidated. That never happened, but yet it still got approved. A laundry list of conditions that were supposed to be met when Mary Jane Flowers sat up here in front of the commission and said, I'll approve it with these conditions. This condition, and they're right here written down. It's July the 6th. If y'all want to go back and sit and watch hours of video, then none of those requirements have been met, which one of them was to put the masonry wall up first around the property. Nothing has been done to honor that agreement. And you can go back and ask Travis, because Rusty sits up here and spouts off half-truths like he has all night. That daggum complaint filed against that property was filed a year before Travis even approached Roddy to get that stuff cleaned up there. Then he went to Rusty, and Rusty and them had an agreement that it would be done within 30 days. 90 days later, it still wasn't cleaned up. So you're talking about a year and 3 months worth of giving him ample time to come in compliance with our zoning ordinance, and it never happened. Never happened. And they always moved trash from one site to the other, but that's supposed to be effort, in cleaning up. So the fact is that no one who's been against this project has misled the Planning Commission or has misled the Alderman, but I can go back and show you hours of requirements that this planning commission, whether it was this group or the one before, and this group of aldermen, whether it was the old ones or the ones now, have put stipulations on this project to get passed and done that have never been met. But yet, we're here tonight with failed threats again. And Rusty, that they weren't sued. The town was sued by the group of neighbors. RBT never had a lawsuit placed against them that has been to court. So nothing stopped them from that entire time. There's one then pending that hasn't been to court yet in Marion County. If that's what you want to talk about. That hasn't been to court yet.
This is Chancery Court, William Forring and wife, Janice Forring, William Best and wife.
I'm trying to see
where we're going. Oh, with the zoning.
Okay,
And RBT Enterprise.
We ain't going to, hey, listen, this site plan has been approved. We got a building permit. My second, stage 2, don't have to be in this. I put it in this, goodness of my heart, to make traffic flow good, to clean up that road over there, to clean up my shop, get all that dust, all that dirt off in that road. We got to put a settlement pond over. TDEC asked me to do that to make the flow better than the pipe. Okay, we're gonna put a wall up there. Everything y'all asked us to do.
And Jennifer.
We're past that. We passed all this we're talking about now. This is history. We need a building permit.
You're not here tonight to get a building permit.
Okay.
I think that would probably be the
Okay,
logical
he's got
next
to
step.
issue us one then.
And then to begin the conversation
Wait, one
about how
second.
can we.
I see one second, someone in the back, the gentleman with the black shirt, did you have anything?
Building permit, we go down and see Tom.
Yes, Damon Bird. I just want to say that I've been coming here for I'm 71 years old. I've been coming here my entire life. Here we are, the highest point between Chicago and Miami. This place is a treasure here at Monteagle. That's why I'm here. That's why we've been coming here. It has turned the corner here in Monteagle, and people are building their vacation homes here. They want to be here because it's a beautiful place. Is a truck stop a beautiful thing? Is that why they're coming here, to see a truck stop? No, they're coming here because Monteagle is a great place to be.
Off the main interstate, one block.
Point of order, we
I have
got
a
a
house on
speaker.
Sea at the Highlands, that's
Point of
where
order.
Ladies and gentlemen, one at a time, everyone can speak. Hold on.
Okay. One time. Oh, we're gonna get a building permit? That's all I need to know, yes or no?
No, we don't issue building permits.
Who does?
We're at
Can
city
you tell me
council.
who does? The city hall?
It's been more than 3 years. Your site plan, according to state law, is done.
No.
So
No.
they're not.
I disagree. I disagree.
So the
Y'all will
question
find out.
is,
Y'all be building the Petro. Not us. I love you, but y'all be building the Petro. Because I get into change the life bunch. Everybody tried to get the life bunch, and I said, no, I ain't doing it. I'm a better person than that. But y'all approved the site plan. Y'all didn't, the other did. But I ain't giving you 30 days. I ain't giving you a day, because we will lose our developer. Y'all cost, when I say y'all, I don't mean y'all, I mean this town, cost us 2 banks before, dropped us, okay? Our developer find out about this, y'all won't have that, okay? At all, nobody has it. I ain't making no deals with y'all. I come in here today, I told Miss Jessica there what I do for this town, didn't I, Jessica? And I was gonna put you 2 things on each road like 20. I ain't doing that for you now. Y'all let the the pilot build a garage over there, the town did, not build no wall behind it, put shrubbery behind it. They got containers over there, everything, bad as me or worse. And y'all just let them do it.
that wasn't, I don't think any of us.
So here we are. I ain't going another day with you, Nate, without a building permit. Or you don't, you're going to be in federal court. I'm just telling you. If Rusty don't want to take it, I told you before you get here, I'd fire him, didn't I, Rusty? I said, listen, we ain't playing no games with them no more. I played enough 3 years of my life and had to do everything financially. There's $1 million worth of tanks in a building laying out there we're paying interest on. Right, Brian? I ain't going no farther. I'm walking in tomorrow. If we don't get a building permit, I'm going to find me somebody to take care of it. Is that fair enough? Dan? Huh?
Get the building.
Are you going to give me a building permit tomorrow? This month. Are we going to get a building permit tomorrow?
We'll try to.
We're going to get a building permit tomorrow. Huh?
No. I don't know why we can't.
That's right. That's right.
because your building
It ain't
vested
up to
rights
you, Nate.
expire.
The building permit.
It's state
The-
law,
A
Rodney.
site plan do not expire. I buy them all the time, build the houses and everything else. You know what I mean? They don't expire. Businesses. I told you, I built 2 funeral homes over this same stuff, and I beat them. Okay? And the only reason I ain't jumped on you, on this, because y'all, we're gonna do this.
You guys-
We're gonna build this patch road.
You guys have already said that you have a new engineer, that you're talking about building things in addition, because I've heard from other council people that you were going to make a
That's
wooden
tonight.
design.
That did that, Jessica. I said tonight, not tomorrow, tonight. If y'all give us a building permit, that's gonna happen tonight. I told her after tonight, you ain't getting nothing from me. Zero.
Rodney, we can't issue one tonight. We
Okay,
can't.
okay.
Come
Who's gonna issue me one tomorrow? All I need to know.
Travis and
Come up here.
and the mayor.
Are you gonna issue me a building permit tomorrow?
No, sir.
Okay, he ain't gonna issue me a building permit. Why not? This has got nothing to do with
Listen,
me.
let me talk. A building permit is a permit application.
Okay?
A permit application means that it's processing all of his verifications of what he's submitting to make that a permit once it's got a signature obtained on it, right? So when met, he's introduced me to the contractor, he's gave me the bonds and all that stuff. I told you all that.
All right.
Now there's a stipulation of legit technicals, and I also told him the other day when we talked, I said, I'm big on time frames. This project needs a time frame on it. How long are we looking at? Because I don't want to go into a 180-day commencement again of the building permit and revocate his permit. What's the time frames and the expectations? Because all these contractors is going to give you a step by step, and even his contractor told me, he said, I'll give you a laid out site of the scope of the duration of each phase, or whatever I'm trying to say. The scope of each phase is going to have a durational time. Did he not say that?
Yes, sir.
Show me the money.
Show you the what?
Give me the permit. Give me all the documentation. You know what I'm saying?
What else do you like?
He's got to give me all the layout of the phases, Rodney, the time frames and all that stuff.
Okay.
And
We'll have that this week.
And then I said
Tomorrow. We'll have that tomorrow.
And then I said that once this goes through here, these guys need to work on this thing. I want this thing off of this agenda, whether they vote tonight, table it for 30 days. I say that, Brian? Table it for 30 days, work up with a resolution, because I don't want my name on that. Well, this has got legal agenda.
Listen, that has got nothing to do with us.
I understand.
Nothing. Zero. About building permit. Nothing. Zero.
We've also had multiple conversations made along the way about the process for getting the building permit reinstated, and then none of those conversations with the mayor or anyone else has anyone mentioned that we need to get this done by July 7th of 2024. Not one time, was that right?
Mr. Sergeant, we went from 2 banks and us owning it ourselves to a developer. A developer has cut us out half our money. Okay, that's the reason I'm so upset. This town has stopped that with 2 banks. I know it ain't y'all's, yeah, it's y'all's fault, because a long time ago, if this was proved, it'd been like the Taco Bell. It'd been built and everybody loved it. You know what I'm saying?
Rodney,
I understand what you're trying to do.
The Taco Bell is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So when the Taco Bell came in, it was approved instantly because everything was there in the site plan and everything was taken care of. And we said at the time, wow, that's amazing how fast that goes through.
You know why it got built so quick? When we sold the property to him, I said, you better come in this town in 60 days and have her built, or you won't build her. He rolled up and the sides was built in 60 days. You was buying a taco there. Cause you. Okay?
Leslie has a question.
Yes, so when we started this discussion, one of the things mentioned was the new water ordinance.
Yeah.
Which requires post-construction, making certain rules about what has to happen
Yes.
with stormwater.
Yes.
So my question is this. We, at this point, don't know if the current site plan meets those requirements or not. Assuming that the current site plan can just stay as it is, or that it's still valid. That we assume that it's still valid, if it does not comply, will it have to comply?
Or be grandfathered in.
Yes,
So-
exactly.
So what vested property rights does is it establishes what regulations are in place at the time of approval become the regulations that govern that development.
This has
And
already
so-
been approved, Nate. You don't talk to us about that. Get that out of your head. This don't apply to us.
Can I finish my question? What regulations are in place?
So the two regulations that are in question right now, the only two really appreciable things that have changed since 2021 is the stormwater ordinance and the fact that truck stops are now use on review. And so what I'm trying...
You already passed this site plan. It ain't nothing to us. It ain't nothing. I don't even talk about that here, but it ain't nothing to me and Brian and my sister. Nothing to us. We just need a building site permit. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it up, y'all gonna have to arrest me, then the lawsuit will get bigger. I already told a contradiction. I'm gonna do y'all like I did Jasper. I'm gonna put her up, y'all gonna have to arrest me, then the money y'all can buy it. Jasper backed out. I know the rules, okay? I know the rules. I know the rules. And when I sue you, it won't be just the city, it'll be y'all individual. So y'all can talk about it all day, all night. We've argued about this for 4 years. I ain't arguing with y'all no more. I'm coming in this week, get a site plan, a building permit. And after that, if y'all don't give me one, if Travis don't give me one, I'll see you over in Chattanooga at the federal court. That's all I gotta say to you.
So, back to the question I asked.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't argue with you, but I'm gonna show you action.
So if we go this route, wherever we're going here, you've got an attorney involved in this. I did recommend to these guys and them that the two attorneys need to consult. They need to talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I moved to you as a building inspector.
Yeah, you.
Listen to me,
Yep,
listen.
I will.
Table this, let's move on and table this, let them two attorneys talk and do their thing. I'm not, no listen.
I ain't
don't
tabling
listen.
nothing. I ain't listening. That is nothing to me, man. That is nothing to me. I need a building permit.
So wait,
I don't
listen,
care if I get one or not. I'm building. Y'all won't have to sue me.
No, listen to me. Can I issue him a building permit tomorrow? Is that all right with y'all?
No.
There's my point.
Okay. Soon let's go, Brian. Get out here. I'm gonna show this town how to go to federal court. If you don't believe me, Google my name.
So I was trying to put an olive branch out.
This is what you guys want. Just get
My olive branch didn't work very well.
I still didn't get an answer to my question.
So
Stormwater ordinance apply?
no, unless the stormwater ordinance runs with the vested property rights. And so the vested property rights expired on July 7th. So any new site plan would be required to do that. Would be required to conform. The vested property rights means that you have to conform to the ordinances at the time of site plan approval.
Can
They expired, so that means
That's just the way
unless you,
can we vote on this?
they
and
expired,
dismiss?
so unless you give them forgiveness or whatever, then on that point, then the new site plan would have to comply with stormwater ordinance.
I was offering an olive branch to try to figure out the stormwater ordinance is non-negotiable to me. It needs to conform with the stormwater ordinance to protect our water supply, period. It may already comply with our stormwater ordinance. I thought that was an easy, because our stormwater ordinance is not something draconian meant to kill development. It's meant to protect our water supply. So, my rationale for putting it out there is it's not that hard. In fact, it may already comply. But I think that that's important. I think that given that 3 years have passed, given that the vested property rights are expired, it's all we can do as city council to do the best we can with what we have.
Glenn,
Just real quick to clarify, I think at the very beginning, Nate, you said that there were 3 or 4 items on their site plan that didn't quite meet whatever requirements you had, and so you were giving them some time to come up with, to make it a compliant site plan?
There were some loosey-goosey things in there. It was an approved site plan with 2020-21. And one of the things that the separated site plan is not something that is generally allowed, and was not on the planning commission, so I don't know how that managed to get through with the approval, but generally common developments require a single site plan, and they didn't because they hadn't combined the properties. And that's what I would like to see, the properties combined in a single site plan, because I think that can address the traffic issues.
I guess part of the argument also then is if they never really kind of tied everything together to make it a complete site plan, then, I mean, that has some implications for them, obviously, and I'm not going to get, I don't have a dog in the hunt with this, but you guys can all try and resolve this. But in the future, do we have a new set of regulations where somebody can approve a site plan with conditions and do we have something in place that can keep somebody from just ignoring those conditions?
Well,
yeah, the law does that.
Well, I mean, the law didn't apply right here.
It doesn't.
Well,
I'm not talking about that. The law didn't apply to this whole situation, obviously, right? At least not in their minds or anything. So I'm just curious if we have some guardrails in place to keep a site plan from being approved with conditions or loosey-goosey stuff that needs to be cleaned up. And then what's our follow-up to make sure that that site plan does get finished and completed before any kind of building permit or something else is issued?
It's something to look at. I don't know. In the past, there's been some reluctance, in my opinion, from what I read, that people don't like conditional because you have to come back anyway and do conditional. What was resolved?
He wants to speak to them. Yes. I guess what I'm saying is this has been obviously a mess for several years. I'm trying to look to the future and think, okay, are we going to have some more of these come up because site plans are getting approved with not all the requirements kind of there, and then they kind of get lost in the shuffle and something gets built, and we realize that things weren't in compliance with our site plan requirements.
Okay, hold on, please. I'll have to relay this. I'm sorry, I can't find the speaker button. Go ahead. The statute deals with, say again? Vested rights and development standards. Okay. Deferral of the resolution of 30 days will let us determine what development standards apply. And the attorneys and the parties can talk about that. In the meantime, the building permit should be issued. If Travis is satisfied with the conditions that revoked in the first place. And the technical aspects to issue the building permit. We have yet to determine whether 2021 or 2024 standards apply to this development. That's it, that's verbatim. What do we do with the resolution? Table it?
Haven't yet.
Yeah, well, I'll ask for a motion, see what they want to do. Okay, is that about it? Can you hang on 2 more minutes?
Can I speak when I'm on the phone?
Hold on, wait, I've got some other people. Mr. Wall, do you have anything real quick?
I defer to
Mary Beth?
Yes, my name's Mary Beth Best. I live at 521 Watson Heiser, pretty close to the development. And the way I see it, we just got bullied into doing what you're gonna do. There is an arrest record on record. Monteagle Police was involved in that, where a close neighbor was threatened by this developer He threatened to burn the house down, murder and rape my close neighbor. He's threatened all of us. He threatened all of you tonight. Two of the ones sitting right there turned around and threatened to take our houses. That's not the first time that we've been threatened directly. I told Doreen about that, and I started carrying a gun. I carry a pistol. I practice with it, and I'm trying to do my best to protect myself. I want this said out loud, and I want this on record. I've said it before. I want to say it in front of you. I want this known that it was obvious to everybody in the room that you were being threatened in a lot of different ways. We've been threatened personally. Congratulations, you'll get your truck stopped. But I'm worried about my home. I'm worried about my safety. I was home alone today, and my doorbell rang, and I was scared to answer it. So that's what I live with in this neighborhood that I moved to. I moved away from Nashville to get away from crime and to get away from things that scared me. And now you have gone into business with someone that just threatens his way through life. So that's what I wanted to say out loud to all of you. You know it's true. It's not gossip. We all witness it. And it's public. It's a police record. I'm not making things up. I'm not, it's not defamation of character, because there's an actual, record of the things that I've spoken out loud, and then the things that we all just witnessed in this room. So anyway.
That's something I'll review with the police tomorrow.
I'd like to know what the city's going to do, what the police department's going to do to protect all of us, not only when the development happens, but when there's a truck stop that brings in more crime to our town. So, thank you.
Travis, do you have anything?
I'd just like to speak to the attorney before he hangs up, if y'all will care that I speak.
Yeah, ask Sam Allen if he'll put what he's telling you in writing.
We'd like a second
And why does
opinion.
he won't answer questions from us, but RBT doesn't have a lawsuit against the town, but yet he'll talk to Rusty Leonard, who at this point is nothing more than a citizen.
We need a second opinion.
So I'm understanding that tomorrow.
We need a legal second opinion, not Sam
Yes, sir.
Elliott.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm addressing the council, and so I'm gonna issue a permit tomorrow based on the stop work order, that everything is satisfactory on that stop work order.
Well, you said you would issue an application, but you,
Okay. Yes, sir. All right, that sounds good. So I'm gonna start the application tomorrow, and I'll get verification of these contractors and everything that he has.
You can't go and issue a building permit without an approved site plan, so they don't know whether or not the site plan is legal or not legal. You can't issue that until there's a decision made on that.
And I'll let them know. Okay, all right, thank you.
Because the contingencies y'all gave it to them on the last time have still never been met.
Probably best to say you can't issue a building permit without a site plan. So that's the issue. Has it expired as a result of this TCA stuff? Okay. Well, could you send me an email for that tomorrow morning?
Mm-hmm.
2021 standards or 2024 standards?
2024 standards.
So Nate is saying 2024 standards.
And ask me if it would be beneficial or smart for the city to issue a building permit on a development that has a current lawsuit pending in Marion County.
Yeah, that's what
Currently, that has not been heard.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, if you would just send me some kind of memo tomorrow.
So if you believe that Rodney's going to have a valid suit, if it doesn't get built, I'll promise you there'll be one if it does get built, especially under these situations, these circumstances.
I understand. Rusty?
I'm ready to vote.
Rusty's already filed the motion to discover. He knows the
Have you
lawsuit's
made
there.
any agreement with Sam Elliott?
Not necessarily myself,
Okay, we already know. But you two spoke. Okay, I'll find out from him when it was resolved.
What you said, I think you just said, if you find it's everything necessary to issue a permit to get it from the press, then you can issue the permit, and then you stay in this for 90 days
should be part of the record, by the way.
Yeah.
We need to hear what's being said.
Exactly.
Mr. Elliott said.
No, we need to come up here and say it.
Hang on, I know everybody's upset.
Oh, it's,
Be
the battery's
patient.
dead, Rusty.
Right's right, wrong's wrong. He's
I
not
know,
the decision
I know.
right
I
now. He
just-
needs to speak on the record.
Mr. Elliott and I had a discussion. Mr. Elliott agreed that when Rodney gets the Travis all of the documentation necessary to show the phases of the construction, the geothermals or whatever it is that he needs, that he is to issue the permit, and we are to go ahead and stay this resolution for 30 days in order to let us have discussions about whether it's the 2021 or the 2024 guidelines, if there are any differences there that need to be discussed and how it may or may not affect the current site plan. As I remember from the current site plan, it was fairly thorough, except for what you said about the ingress and egress in that one location. Rodney thought he had it worked out with TDOT. I don't know. I wasn't involved in that. But the bottom line is that will give him what he needs, and that's the permit. He can go ahead and break ground and go ahead and pour concrete for the wall at least, because I'm certain y'all still want the wall.
Well, the wall. Yeah, he'll take it down when it gets to Marion County too, Rusty.
The wall had a lot of ambiguity in it as well, and they were supposed to come back within 90 days of the to do the finals on the wall, and this is part of what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to do anything other than nail down some rough edges.
I understand where you're at. I truly do.
Y'all understand each other.
Okay.
I'd like,
Been dealing with
well,
it
this
for years.
goes on, because we're gonna be here all night, I've got a sleeping bag. I'd like Rusty's client to come in here so I can address him in front of this council in the audience.
Is he still here?
I
think he left.
I don't care.
Wait.
I just want to say one thing. This council works for the citizens. Is that correct? You work for the citizens, okay? I'm from a small town, and I understand home cooking. I got it. But it is unconscionable to me that this council allowed this person, or any person, not just him, anybody, to speak to you in the manner that he did. I mean, I'm embarrassed for y'all. I mean, you're the council, and Nate, why do you let people speak to you? You're professional. Everybody's professional here. It's like you were babysitting or something. I mean, who do you guys work for?
I'm prepared to vote on this resolution tonight, if others are. I mean, after that, I tried to be as peaceful as I could.
Point out that if this council orders Travis Wilson to approve or issue a permit without the site plan that is submitted by the applicant being approved by the engineer for the town of Monteagle, that you're in violation of state law, and so would Travis be in violation of state law, because state law requires that you comply with the International Building Code. The International Building Code requires that with a permit you have to submit a site plan. If they submit the same site plan that they submitted in 21, let it be reviewed by the new requirements of the town of Monteagle, which include the stormwater management plan.
Okay, thank you.
To avoid a lawsuit.
We're gonna have a lawsuit anyway we go. It doesn't matter.
And so far, Rodney's the only one that's threatened, that's never filed with him. He's threatened it 100 times, and y'all have approved everything previously in this administration, and he hasn't filed one yet. You know, the neighbors have been forced to spend money and spend hours in court, but he hasn't had to spend. But yet, he's still the one that hasn't complied with anything that y'all have told him to do the previous site plan had conditions of approval on it, and none of them have been met. Not one of them. Talking about the detention ponds, there's supposed to be landscaping down sampling 12/7/21. Look at that video. That is your minutes for that meeting. There are none on the website. Go to the end of it, and they list the stipulations of what's supposed to be done before he can start breaking ground, and none of those things have been done. None of them. But yet you're sitting here tonight talking about approving a site plan or giving him a building permit when he hasn't done what he was told to do for the approval in the first place 3 years later. No, you're right, you were part of that process. Mary Jane Flowers, I told her to shut up because she was taking too much time. You know, but she's the one that put the stipulations on it, and Sam Elliott's the one that wrote them all down. He knows what's been done and what hasn't been done, and those criteria still aren't met.
Okay, is there a motion?
Can Lucy speak?
I just have a question. So in terms of being reissued a building permit, is that something that you have to pay for?
Yes.
So the last time he was given the building permit, it wasn't for the project. It was for the building itself. He only paid for a building permit on the actual brick and mortar building. So the city of Monteagle, seems to me, missed a real opportunity to get money that it should have been in their coffers if the building, if the site plan is the entire site. Why did he only pay for part of what was on the site plan?
That's part of the issue at play, and so they've already been made aware that they will pay the building permit based on the value of the whole project, and so the delta between the two would be due with that, and so that's part of what Travis is doing, is verifying the cost estimates.
What is the percentage?
I don't know.
It's a sliding scale. I don't know right off
So,
top of my head.
Rusty said $18 million, or Brian said, one of them said, 18 million. So it should be some percentage of 18.
There's a schedule in the International Building Code, as I understand, to set permits.
It's not straight, right? So it goes, it's this much to this level and this much to this level.
You would agree that it was not properly collected last time?
Travis is already having conversations with them about that.
Travis has been told by Sam Elliott he can't charge him that money, you shouldn't charge him that money. He's just charging the normal fee.
And I don't understand why Sam Elliott is our attorney.
To continue the case, another attorney will start all over again with review and this and that. And
This gentleman had a comment.
And that's exactly what should happen.
Did you want to say something?
Okay, is there a motion? You want to table the resolution? Put it aside till the next meeting, no matter what happens?
I was trying to put it out there as an olive branch.
I know.
My olive branch was strongly rebuffed, so. And is my still rebuffed?
We discussed with his attorney. I'm reading straight off the stop work order that I issued on February the 2nd. I've told you about the grading and excavation. That's going to be blacklined because he's pulled a grading permit from the city. We're going to the geotechnical advisory and engineering reports given for update. Once that's provided to me, that'll blackline. He's provided a list of his contractor with his bonds and everything. He also provided an AIA paper for me for the permit to justify the amount. That's blacklined off. Once that's all done and said, this will be a permit application. Once I verify everything, I'll sign off on the building permit. So it won't be signed, taking effect as a building permit until all documentation is verified on the application. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That makes sense to you guys?
Now, can you sign off on a building permit without an approved site plan?
As far as I know, the site plan's been approved, right?
No, it has not. There's still a discussion of whether or not this resolution is actually valid or not.
So do we have a site plan on this? This is before my time.
So there's no question that the site plan was approved in 2021.
Right.
I think the question is whether the site plan remains
And Sam did not make a decision on whether he believed that was true or not. He said discuss it or table it until the attorneys can
This
talk
is
it
where
out.
it's coming between the two attorneys, and I think Mr. Leonard spoke to Mr. Elliott, and I'm referencing what both of these attorneys are telling me. And I've addressed you guys as the council that I am going to do that, and you said no. On the legal advice, Sam Elliott's recommending, do you agree?
Well, so what Sam said, and I think it makes sense at this juncture, is to do that and to table the conversation, because the question, so the vested property rights are without question expired. And so the next, we can table this conversation for 30 days of discussions about whether the 2021 or the 2024 standards apply to the construction.
And we don't know
So
whether
how do you
5
issue a
minutes
building
make a difference
permit?
or not. But yes, that's correct. And I think that would probably be the town's decision.
There's another problem with this, though, is your TDOT permits have all expired now. And so that was all, those are only good for a year.
I don't think so.
Well, the one that I had just expired.
I'll work with the client or the property owner and see if we can get all the, I'll have something to present back to you guys. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Roger, do you agree with that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I ain't waiting 30 days. I can't. I mean, I told you this when I left the first time, I ain't waiting 30 days.
I don't believe we should wait 30 days. Turn everything in the morning and then
Yeah,
we do it.
if we get a permit when we start working, that's all I'm
I
working.
don't care. I mean, as controversial as this is on me for getting thrown into the snake pit,
Right.
I'll ask these aldermen and mayor to call a special call meeting to present.
Well, at this point, we don't know if the site plan's good, we don't know
I
if
have
it's
no
bad.
idea.
Why are we sitting here even?
It's on my computer. I have it. I looked at it this morning.
So there are no changes to the site plan?
No
But you don't know if it's 21 or what, so there's too many questions. What he's sitting there saying.
We do. July 7th, 2021.
That was the original thing.
Yeah.
Rodney, I've just got a quick question. Will you have EV charging stations?
Yes, we are going to put them in.
Are they on your original site plan?
It ain't going to be on this here. There are two sites here. I don't have to combine my other site over there where my shop is if I don't want to. Both site plans was approved. We bought a construction permit for this site here. I never did buy that over there on mine because I never did want it really combined at that time. But TDOT wanted us to do that to make people, the parking lot's going to be so big, people can circle in there to get out quick. It ain't going to be like the Pilot where it's backed up and everything. But they said, we'd love for you, when they fill up, besides them parking or circling around and it gets congested like the Pilot, we like them go straight and, come out, because half truck drivers can't back now anyway, and where they can go straight. And I said, we'll do that. I said, let us get this built, and the money we're going to have, if we save some money, we'll do everything these neighbors has always wanted us to do for years. That place is going to be cleaned up. It's going. I told Jessica yesterday I'd build the city two, I call them, what do you call them? Monument things on both sides of the road down here by the funeral home. Say welcome to Monteagle like Swanee got at our cost, and maybe that'll break people away from the truck stop and into the town. So the truck stop, be that way, and that will keep truck drivers from coming this way. I don't think that many come this way anyway, unless the road's shut down. But my site plan ain't going to change. I ain't going to do nothing to the site plan because I ain't getting into that no more. That cause we've already lost $4 or $5 million on them tanks and everything. So we lost 2 bankers with this town. I ain't losing this developer. I've already had to give half this truck stop away to the developer when me and Brian, my sister, was going to build it ourselves. Now there's a big boy involved, and he'll put this thing up. like they did the Taco Bells. And I ain't losing him. I can't wait 30 days. He's ready and he wants all the paperwork. I ain't waiting 30 days. I ain't discussing it no more. If I have to wait 30 days, I'll wait a year to something else. So I ain't losing this development. I just ain't gonna do it, guys. I mean, you know, y'all gonna have to say, I ain't gonna give you a permit or do what you gotta do. That's all I need to know tonight.
But I go back to saying what I initially said.
Right.
If this property was zone C3 and the land use is in the schedule, to me as a building inspector, as long as he's provided all the proper documentation and it's a cluster to put together, because this has been a mess from the get-go.
You can't deny me one that.
I mean, that's, as an
You can't
inspector,
deny
I mean, that's violation of me.
Travis, did you hear what Mr. Waller was saying
I did, yes, I
about
did.
the engineer?
I did. I know it's very, I mean, and I just got thrown in the middle of this.
I know,
So
I'm
just trying to decipher.
I just think his point was well made.
And I'll say this to the public. This is the most stressful thing that I've dealt with in Monteagle.
Yeah, all of
I've
us.
got a file that's 2 inches thick on nothing but he said, she said, and deciphered and put together, and we have to do something. Because either way, you know, we're worried about a stormwater ordinance. You've got a property over there that's scalped, that's got water run off and everything else. It's, you know what I mean? So it's a double-edged sword. It's went on long enough. We need to figure something out, because it's making, you know, when I say this, I say it because I feel like as an inspector, if I'm doing my job correctly, I'm a liaison between you guys and those guys. And I feel like it's making us look unprofessional because we don't have the right answer to give to either the public or the developers.
But Travis, has anything the neighbors brought you been a he said, she said, or we not brought you?
No, sir, you provided factual documentation for me.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, since I've been out there, they wanted that dust taken care of. I mean, we shouldn't be talking about that because we're behind that. This is a chance to clean that whole block up out there. This is a chance right here. We got somebody with money. It takes money. I just heard y'all talk about police cars in here a while ago. This town needs money, or y'all got all the money we need. I mean, truck stop put a lot of taxes and put a lot of money in this town.
Rodney, do we know how much? I asked Marilyn that.
What?
I asked Marilyn a couple of years ago.
I got it at the shop, but I don't remember what it was.
It was small.
No, it ain't small. You asked Jasper. I mean, Jasper said, we wish we had a place to put this in here. And I was gonna take this to Jasper across the Loves, because he
Marion County's gonna benefit from this.
Yeah, not Monteagle.
Not Monteagle.
You get city taxes. I mean, ain't this in the city limits?
But here's just one other thing.
I'm confused.
Flynn.
Is this in the city limits? Okay. Why can't we benefit from it?
We got one.
We don't litigating what's been litigated. This is an aside for taxes. We do not have a city tax, therefore we don't share in certain taxes.
We need some. And I got a lot of property in this town. We need city taxes here, Mayor.
Well, we have a mixed population.
Hey, listen, if you get city taxes, you wouldn't be doing this tonight. People would think we need business, help get new cars, help fix this road, help do everything.
$2 million a year right now in the general fund in the town of Monteagle.
Okay.
$2 million for a town of 1,500 people.
That's pretty good, ain't it?
Yes.
Okay.
But Ron, I just was talking. If you have a big truck stop, trucks are coming off of the 24.
Yes, sir.
They're going to be lined up at exit 135 to get off.
No.
No, they're going to come through, they're going to get off on 134 and come through town.
I put the resolution together, and Sam offered us a peaceful way forward to thread the needle, and there's no interest in
That's what it says to me.
That's what this is about. This is about moving to 2020.
Hey, are we tabling this resolution?
Yeah, you can table the resolution, but that ain't got nothing to do with us.
I'm being truthful and honest.
They ain't gonna have nothing to do with me. Ain't talking to you. I mean, if y'all want to table it, I mean, we'll talk to you, you can't put in nothing. Y'all can't put
And
nothing in.
that's what I'm just telling them, I'm telling you.
To approve this resolution.
This hinders the building permit, because if we're gonna issue a building permit, this doesn't exist, we're not gonna issue a building permit, then this is gonna stand, because this is essentially a violation of your documentation. Am I right?
It's too many close conversations. Tell me you have all them talking.
I said, this needs to come off the table, because this is gonna adversely affect the building.
What do you think?
We're gonna vote on this resolution.
Okay, that's what we need to do.
Yeah, if Sam said table it, we can table it.
I think we should table it.
I mean,
Have a special call meeting in 2 weeks and get some information.
Okay.
Let's see if it, just vote on it. You got it on there, let's vote on it.
Let's table it.
Well, we table it, then we gotta vote on it next month.
Yeah, just putting it off, keeping the can down the road.
I move to table the resolution.
If this is, I want them to hear it, because it's very long version. Hey, listen to me, public. We're getting ready to make a decision to vote on this, and I want the public to hear this, because this is going to affect the building permit, right?
Right.
So if this is sitting on the table, and this site plan, to my understanding, if this resolution's on the table, and we issue a building permit, and we find that this is correct and accurate, I'm in violation of your resolution, or vice versa.
So that's the idea behind tabling it, is that you go ahead and do it and the question remains open whether,
So then if I
whether
issue
she's
a
here.
permit, now I'm gonna have a reason to take a permit back away.
Vote on it.
I mean,
Vote on
it's
it.
a double-edged sword right now. If this is the way it's gonna go, if we just had a resolution open, it's my job's easy. But now I'm getting ready to put this into effect as a permit application. Does that make sense to what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? I'm digging a hole. It's putting me in a hell of a bind.
If we table this,
I don't want
we cannot proceed with the.
If you table this and we go on, he's gonna start submitting the documentation tomorrow to pull all of his permit, right?
That's fine, that doesn't affect the vested property rights if he makes application for a permit, and that's what Sam was saying, that's why Sam
But
recommended
if
it table.
this goes through, right, I'm gonna have to have a site plan, a representation to the planning commission for the site plan and the property, am I right?
Well, I think we were gonna have a conversation whether the 2021 or the 2024 standards
I'm very
apply.
confused on this.
I am too. Let's vote on it.
It sounded more like you're supposed to start the application process but not issue it yet while this conversation goes on. That's what I think.
So I mean,
That's what I
and
got.
I'm speaking honestly in a public meeting, so am I gonna lie to the gentleman and tell him that I don't have all the documentation to issue the permit? So now you're putting me in a bind. Because if the proper documentation is issued to me as a vested inspector, I have to proceed forward.
Have to give you a permit.
You don't
This won't
know
mean
if
nothing to me.
you've got the proper documentation because the attorneys are talking about.
That's right. That's my
About the
point.
site plan.
Yes, ma'am, that's my point.
I
Does
don't
that make
know.
sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
So you don't think we can table and have a special call meeting in 2 weeks?
That's, I mean, it depends on how fast that plan there's going to move forward. If they come to me tomorrow and have everything in a line, it's going to put me in a very bad spot. And then if they don't, I mean, we're playing poker, fellas. That's where we're at. I mean, I'm just calling a spade a spade.
I don't know why we can't table it, have a special call meeting that gives the attorneys time to talk, that gives you all time to get your stuff together, and you check with TDEC, TDOT, and make sure there are no open items, and
I ain't waiting another day,
We've
Dave.
already got the resolution on the agenda, Mayor. It made it all the way to the agenda. Okay?
well, the agenda's
Let's
up.
vote on it.
The agenda's
Right,
up
let's
in
vote on
the
it.
TCA.
It made it onto the agenda. Let's vote on it.
Let's vote on it.
Okay, somebody
Make a motion and let's vote on it.
Somebody make a motion.
You make the motion.
I can't make the motion as a mayor. That's Robert's rules.
I'll make a motion that we accept or deny the resolution 07-24 RBT. Do I hear a second?
Well, wait, that part, but it's not accept or deny. Which way are you going?
You want to pass it?
To pass the resolution? Or- You said accept or deny, which way?
I'm saying we're asking to accept the resolution.
Okay,
We'll
We're asking
accept
for a
it, we'll
vote to
accept it and then
That's,
vote on
that's your
it.
motion.
That's my motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yes.
The motion, is there any further discussion? on the
No.
motion?
Nope, no more
How do we
discussion.
do this? Roll call vote?
No.
No.
Yes.
You got one more item, Mayor.
Yes. Okay, the last item is the interlocal agreement. It's nothing more than to say we recognize the 3 interlocal agreements with the, that the insurance companies requested that we work with the Franklin, Marion, and Grundy County authorities. Is there a motion to accept the resolution?
I make a motion to accept the resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? We need roll call. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.